Chapter 2372. Even the purple-clothed young man with a powerful family background was tortured so badly. What about them? They had no family background and no background. Wouldn't it be worse? Every scream of the purple-clothed young man was like a sharp knife stabbing into their hearts. Panic, despair, uneasiness. But the people of Yunshan village were very happy, especially Li Feng. Everyone had a vengeful heart. Not long ago, he was tortured by the black-haired old man. Now, seeing the purple-clothed young man in this state, he was very happy. His mentality was finally balanced. Comfortable? Qin Feiyang asked with a smile. My father won't let you go. I won't let you go even if I become a ghost. The purple-clothed young man roared silently. He couldn't scream anymore. His consciousness was already dissipating. He had never been tortured like this since he was a child. You are a perfect stage war god. Don't daydream all day. Qin Feiyang shook his head and waved his hand. The purple-clothed young man flew to the feet of Li Yuntai and the others like a meteorite. Li Yuntai and the others looked at each other. Was he going to let them deal with him? At the same time, Qin Feiyang looked at Fu Wentai, Li Dashan, and the black-clothed woman. The three of them knelt in the void and begged for mercy. In my dictionary, there is a sentence that says you have to pay the price for doing wrong. Qin Feiyang said lightly. We have knelt down and admitted our mistakes. What else do you want? Don't push us too far. The three of them roared. But before they finished their words, three blood-red lights instantly entered their qi-si. Their qi-si was immediately shattered. The three of them were in extreme pain. What can you do if you push us too far? Now, you don't even have a chance to self-destruct. Qin Feiyang said lightly. The three of them fell into the abyss of despair. Ah! Accompanied by shrill screams. Qin Feiyang also broke their limbs and threw them in front of Li Yuntai. Li Yuntai was stunned. Deal with them as you see fit. Their Qian Kuan rings and divine weapons will also belong to Cloud Mountain Village. Qin Feiyang put away the blue phoenix sword and turned to look at Li Yuntai. Li Yuntai clenched his teeth and nodded. All right, I will take care of it. All right then, remember my words. If anyone asks, don't mention me. After Qin Feiyang finished speaking, he took a step forward and rose into the air. Brother Gao, where are you going? Li He hurriedly shouted. Big Brother Gao, I want to be your disciple. You must accept me. Li Feng also knelt in the void and exclaimed, I'm just going out for a walk. I'll be back. As for becoming a disciple, find someone else. Qin Feiyang smiled without looking back. Soon, he disappeared from the sight of the group of people. Li Feng was at a loss as he looked in the direction Qin Feiyang had disappeared. Will he really come back? Li Yuntai murmured, but a smile gradually appeared on his face. Regardless of whether he returned or not, he would never forget this person for the rest of his life. Immediately, Li Yuntai withdrew his gaze and looked down at Li Feng. He sighed, Feng, don't blame Uncle for his harsh words. You must know your place. Uncle. Li Feng's body stiffened. He looked up at Li Yuntai. This person must have a great background. He won't take a fancy to talents like you and Xiao He. Get up quickly. Although he won't accept you, you still have to work hard and set him as your goal. Because you are the pillar of our village in the future. Li Yuntai smiled. I know. Li Feng took a deep breath, got up and nodded heavily to Li Yuntai. Li Yuntai smiled with relief. He turned to look at the villagers behind him and shouted, Everyone must also remember. Regarding Gao Shaosan, you must keep it a secret. Everyone nodded. In the sky above a barren ridge, Qin Feiyang closed his eyes and carefully sensed the location of the three Black Panthers. The slave seal could not only sense the location of the other party, but also transmit sound from 1,000 miles away. In short, no matter how far away they were, they could communicate with each other. Of course, the premise was that they were in the same area. For example, Qin Feiyang was in Shenzhou, and the three Black Panthers were in the northern region or Dongling. There was no other way. Very soon, Qin Feiyang sensed the three Black Panthers and immediately asked them to come and join him. Whoosh! About an hour later, accompanied by the sound of air being torn apart, the three Black Panthers arrived in front of Qin Feiyang like lightning. Qin Feiyang asked with a smile. How's the harvest these days? Nothing much. The three Black Panthers shook their heads. I see. Qin Feiyang could not help but feel disappointed. One of the Black Panthers waved its paw. Two herbs and a divine jade appeared. The two herbs were a flower the size of a baby's palm and a grass the size of an adult's palm. The flower had 3 petals. The grass also had 3 leaves. But no matter if it was the flowers or the grass, all of them were completely like flames that flowed with the glow of treasures, and they were filled with shocking intelligence. The most important thing was, their roots were still there, and they could be planted again. As for the divine jade, it was about the size of an adult's thumb and seemed to be made of magma. It was flawless and surrounded by flames. An earth flame flower, a heaven flame grass, a condensing divine jade. This is what we got these days. The 3 Black Panthers looked extremely dispirited. This person would definitely not be satisfied with these herbs. But on the contrary, Qin Feiyang was extremely excited when he saw the earth flame flower, heaven flame grass, and condensing divine jade. How could this be called nothing? One had to know. Whether it was the 3 herbs for the Nirvana Divine Pill or the 4 herbs for the Chaos Divine Pill, they were all extremely precious. It was already a stroke of luck to be able to find 3 such herbs in just a few days. When he first heard the 3 Black Panthers say that they did not get anything, he thought that they did not even find one. It really scared him. Don't you blame us? The 3 Black Panthers looked at him suspiciously. You guys worked so hard to find the herbs for me. Why would I blame you? Qin Feiyang was stunned and found it funny. One of the Black Panthers said, But these 3, it's already very good. Qin Feiyang nodded. The 3 beasts heard and immediately heaved a sigh of relief. They were afraid that Qin Feiyang would blame them. It seemed that this person was quite easy to talk to. Qin Feiyang looked at it for a moment and sent the earth flame flower, heaven flame grass, and condensing divine jade to the ancient castle. He also instructed the fire lotus to immediately plant the earth flame flower and heaven flame grass in the medicinal field. These 2 herbs, a petal and a leaf, could already be refined into one elixir. In other words, a complete earth flame flower and heaven flame grass could be refined into 3 elixirs. And these herbs, after being planted, would sprout and grow new petals and leaves soon after being picked. Therefore, regarding this, the 3 Black Panthers should be praised, because if they did not pull out the roots, they would not be able to plant. That, since you are satisfied, then the legendary level divine artifact, do you think? The 3 Black Panthers rubbed their claws and looked at Qin Feiyang expectantly. Legendary level divine artifact? Qin Feiyang was stunned. His face immediately darkened and said speechlessly, 3 herbs, and you want a legendary level divine artifact? Do you think that this level of divine artifact is like radishes and cabbages that can be found everywhere on the streets? The 3 beasts smiled embarrassedly. In fact, they had already expected that it would be impossible, so they were not too disappointed. Qin Feiyang laughed. Continue to help me find it. When I am satisfied, I will definitely give you a legendary level divine artifact. We are all serious. Don't go back on your word when the time comes. One of the Black Panthers said, Don't worry. I have a lot of legendary level divine artifact. Qin Feiyang waved his hand, and a scarlet giant sickle, a white dagger, a dragon-shaped iron rod, and the azure phoenix sword appeared. The giant sickle belonged to the fire dragon. The dagger belonged to Sumo's sister. The dragon-shaped iron rod was called the coiling dragon rod. It belonged to Suimo. The azure phoenix sword belonged to Feng Zihan. What? There are actually 4 legendary level divine artifacts. The 3 beasts were dumbfounded. Is this a lot? Qin Feiyang laughed. The 3 beasts smiled bitterly. Even an ultimate god was not qualified to have a legendary level divine artifact, but now a lesser divine lord actually had 4 of them. Was this not a lot? Was this low-key? No, no, no. This person was showing off and showing off. A Black Panther asked carefully, if there are 4 legendary level divine artifacts, then wouldn't there be more peak level divine artifacts? Peak level divine artifacts? Qin Feiyang was stunned and shook his head. I really don't know how many there are, but I think there are at least 10 or 20. With a legendary level divine artifact, Who would care about a peak-level divine artifact? So, all these years, he had directly thrown the peak-level divine artifacts into his universe ring. If he looted the treasury, he would directly throw them to the Fire Lotus to organize. He didn't even want to look at them. Therefore, he really didn't know how many there were. Maybe a dozen or 20 pieces were too few. So many? The three beasts looked at each other. When they came back to their senses, they looked at Qin Fei Yang in unison. Like three big wolf dogs, they stuck out their tongues and flattered him. Qin Fei Yang shook his head and laughed. After searching for a moment in the universe ring, he found 3 peak-level divine artifacts and threw them to the 3 beasts, saying, "Here you go." "Thank you. Thank you." The 3 beasts laughed. Although a peak-level divine artifact was not comparable to a legendary-level divine artifact, there were not many peak-level divine artifacts in the Black Rock City area. It could be said that a peak-level divine artifact was enough to cause a bloody storm here. And for Qin Fei Yang, 3 peak-level divine artifacts could make these 3 Black Panthers help him find medicinal herbs wholeheartedly. It was an extremely cost-effective deal. Qin Fei Yang asked, "Do you know the location of the Black Rock City?" "Of course. It's 4 teleportation altars away from us." The 3 beasts nodded. So far? Qin Fei Yang was shocked. One had to know. From the land of the undead to the Sky Dragon City, there were only a dozen teleportation altars. In other words, just from Cloud Mountain Village to the Black Rock City, it was almost a third of the northern region. The Black Rock City area was only the tip of the iceberg of the Divine Land. Moreover, the Divine Land must have all kinds of incomparably large forbidden areas. It was really unimaginable how big this land was. Immortal War God, Immortal War God. Chapter 2373. Give me the coordinates. Qin Fei Yang calmed himself down and looked at the 3 beasts with a smile. "Are you going to Black Rock City?" The 3 Black Panthers stared at him in surprise. "Let's go for a walk." Qin Fei Yang nodded. "I'm afraid it's not as simple as a walk." The 3 Black Panthers cursed in their hearts. But they didn't ask much and gave Qin Fei Yang 4 coordinates. "I hope that the next time we meet, you can give me a bigger surprise." Qin Fei Yang smiled slightly and activated the teleportation altar. Wait. Suddenly, one of the Black Panthers stopped Qin Fei Yang. "What's wrong?" Qin Fei Yang looked at it suspiciously. "Through the last coordinate, you will appear above a canyon. There is a black wolf in the canyon. It's ferocious by nature and has a hobby of teasing you humans, but it has a good relationship with us. At that time, if it runs out and attacks you, please don't make things difficult for it." The Black Panther said. Qin Fei Yang was slightly stunned and smiled. "What if it makes things difficult for me? Just say that it has something to do with us. I want to hear this and it won't make things difficult for you." And it has lived near Black Rock City for tens of thousands of years and knows Black Rock City like the back of its hand. It will definitely be able to help you. The Black Panther said. "Okay." Qin Fei Yang nodded, jumped onto the altar, and left. Boss, are we really going to continue to help him find herbs?" One of the Black Panthers looked at the other 2 and asked, "What else?" "Don't forget, he hasn't come into contact with our control. Found it. Maybe at that time, he will really give us a legendary divine artifact. At that time, within a few million miles, who can be our opponent?" The 2 Black Panthers laughed proudly. "But we, as beasts, actually have to listen to the orders of a human. If word gets out, how can we establish ourselves in the beast world?" The Black Panther said unhappily, "How much is face worth?" "Don't be long-winded. Now that we all have pinnacle divine artifacts, the humans and beasts in this area are no longer a threat to us. For the sake of efficiency, let's split up and search. Finally, we will meet up in Black Rock City." The Black Panther boss said. "All right, big brother, third brother, take care of yourselves. I'll make a move first." After saying that, Black Panther took the pinnacle divine artifact and flew away in high spirits. "Second brother, you're really impatient." Third brother Black Panther was displeased. "Isn't it after the legendary artifact?" Third brother, "Don't say I didn't warn you. Even if he's willing to give us a legendary artifact, there's only one. When the time comes, whoever finds the most herbs among the three of us will get this legendary divine artifact. After saying that, the Black Panther turned into a stream of light and disappeared into the mountains below. You should have said so earlier. I won't lose to you. Third brother Black Panther roared and immediately rushed into the mountain below to search carefully. Blackrock City. Just as its name suggested, it was a city built from pieces of black stones. The city walls were black. The streets in the city were black. The buildings in the city were also black. It covered an area of tens of thousands of miles and had a population of tens of millions. It was an ancient city that had existed for countless years. Outside the city, the mountains were stacked and the ancient trees towered into the sky. The traces of fierce beasts could be seen everywhere. As for their cultivation, they were all war gods and divine lords. It was rare to see divine beasts, but it wasn't that there weren't any. Fierce beasts of this level were basically hiding in the depths of the mountains to cultivate. If you didn't disturb it, it would never take the initiative to provoke you. At this moment, just north of Blackrock City, in a large canyon, a man and a woman, about 20 years old, exuded an extraordinary temperament. They each held a supreme-grade divine artifact in their hands and were fighting a black wolf with their lives on the line. Both of their cultivations were half-step divine lords, but the black wolf's cultivation had reached perfect divine lord. Moreover, it also had a supreme-grade divine artifact. There was no suspense. Facing such a powerful black wolf, both of them were covered in wounds and looked extremely miserable. Damn beast, we didn't provoke you. We were just passing by. Why did you attack us? The young woman roared angrily. Passing by? Do you think I'm stupid? Don't you know the real purpose of coming here? The black wolf snickered. It was simply toying with the two of them. Otherwise, with its perfect divine lord cultivation and supreme-grade divine artifact, it would have ended their lives long ago. Swoosh. But at this moment, a figure descended in the sky above the canyon. It was a young man with dark skin. He wore a black robe and his eyes emitted a cold light. The black wolf and the man and woman stopped at the same time and looked at the black-robed young man. Brother, help us. The man and woman immediately called for help from the young man. They realized that they couldn't see through the black-robed young man's cultivation, which meant that he was stronger than them. But the black wolf flashed a look of disdain. Ask him for help? Are you stupid? Don't you know that his cultivation is only a small success, divine lord? The black wolf looked at the man and woman, his fierce eyes filled with mockery. What? Only a small success, divine lord? The man and woman were extremely disappointed. Boy, since you delivered yourself to me, I won't be polite. Stay there and don't move. After I kill them, I'll deal with you slowly. The black wolf stared at the black-robed young man and snickered. Then, it opened its bloody mouth and pounced at the man and woman. The black-robed young man was stunned. He didn't seem to have provoked this black wolf before. The black-robed young man waved his hand and said, Hey. Stop. Answer me a question. The black wolf was slightly taken aback. It turned to stare at Qin Fei Yang, its eyes flashing fiercely. The man and woman also looked at Qin Fei Yang suspiciously. Facing the perfect divine Lord Black Wolf, he wasn't nervous at all. Do any of you have the coordinates of the Black Rock City Lord Mansion? The black-robed young man looked at the Black Wolf and the man and woman and asked with a smile, We know the location of the City Lord Mansion. As long as you save us, we'll bring you there. The man and woman hurriedly said, What about you? The black-robed young man looked at the Black Wolf and asked, It definitely doesn't know. Because beasts can't enter the Black Rock City, the man and woman said again. I see. The black-robed young man nodded in realization. He revealed a smile that he thought was very kind. He looked at the Black Wolf and said with a smile, On account of your friend, I won't kill you. Hurry up and leave. That was right. This person was Qin Fei Yang. As for the Black Wolf, it must be the friend of the 3 black leopards. You won't kill me? The Black Wolf looked at Qin Fei Yang in shock. Was this person sick in the head? A mere small success divine lord dared to boast shamelessly in front of a perfect divine lord? If you don't leave, I'll be angry. The consequences of my anger are very serious, Qin Feiyang said. Haha. When the black wolf heard this, it immediately laughed out loud. This person was definitely sick, and very sick at that. Otherwise, how could he say such a stupid thing? Wait, but suddenly, the black wolf's expression froze. It seemed to have ignored a sentence. It looked at Qin Feiyang and said suspiciously, "Just now you said that on account of my friend, you won't kill me. What kind of friend do I have?" The three black leopard brothers of the Seven Birds Mountain, Qin Feiyang said. So it's them. The black wolf suddenly realized. But immediately after, there was a touch of disbelief in its eyes. It knew the character of the three black leopard brothers too well. How could they become friends with humans? Could it be? This person had already killed the three black leopard brothers and then pretended to be a friend of the three black leopard brothers to deceive it? With this thought, the black wolf's eyes suddenly flashed with a fierce light. Despicable human, I will kill you to avenge them. Accompanied by a roar, the black wolf immediately awakened the supreme-grade divine artifact and charged toward Qin Feiyang. That supreme-grade divine artifact was a black iron fork, glowing with a black light. Despicable? Revenge? Qin Feiyang was startled and hurriedly dodged, frowning. What are you doing? He can actually dodge it? A man and a woman were unbelievable. The black wolf was also surprised and said, So you have some ability? No wonder you can kill the three black leopard brothers. Kill the three black leopard brothers? Qin Feiyang was slightly startled and said with a wry smile, It's a misunderstanding. I didn't kill them. On the contrary, I'm friends with them. What a joke. With this emperor's understanding of them, how could they be friends with humans? You dare to do it, but you don't dare to admit it. The black wolf ridiculed, its body expanding with the wind, instantly becoming more than 100 feet tall, baring its teeth, ferocious aura surging. Eowao, following closely, it let out a wolf howl, opened its bloody mouth, and pounced towards Qin Feiyang. Qin Feiyang couldn't help but feel a headache coming on. He never thought that there would be such a misunderstanding. It seemed that he had to calm this guy down first. Clang! The coiling dragon rod appeared. He gripped the coiling dragon staff and swung it down. Oh! The black wolf immediately let out a wail, its head bleeding, and like a meteorite, it smashed into the canyon below, never to get up again. So strong. The man and the woman were dumbstruck. To be able to heavily injure the black wolf with a single strike. What kind of holy artifact was that iron rod? Immediately, a hint of greed appeared in the depths of their eyes. Quick! Kill it! Seeing the black wolf lying on the ground with serious injuries, the young man's face immediately surged with killing intent, and then he brought out his top-quality holy artifact and charged towards the black wolf. Hearing this, the young woman also immediately charged over. While you're sick, I'll take your life. Qin Feiyang raised his eyebrows and shouted, What are you doing? Brother, wolves are the most vengeful creatures. If we don't take the opportunity to kill it now, we will definitely suffer its revenge in the future. The man and woman did not stop, their killing intent soaring. Shua. Qin Feiyang teleported and stood above the black wolf, frowning. It was me who heavily injured it. I didn't say anything. What qualifications do you have to attack? The man and woman froze in the air, somewhat angry out of humiliation. How could he help a beast? Sure enough, as the black wolf said, this person was crazy. Qin Feiyang said indifferently, Quit while you're ahead. Hearing this, the man and woman glanced at the coiling dragon rod in Qin Feiyang's hand, a trace of fear in their eyes. The young man said coldly, Fine, don't regret it, let's go. Your kindness now will make you pay a heavy price in the future. The young woman also snorted coldly. Then the two of them left without looking back, not even a word of thanks. After all, if it weren't for Qin Feiyang, they would definitely have died under the black wolf's claws today. Chapter 2374. Qin Feiyang retracted his gaze and looked down at Hei Lang, saying, Can you listen to me properly now? Hei Lang used all his strength and staggered to his feet. Blood flowed from his head. With this strike, not only was his head broken and bleeding, even his soul was severely injured. As for his sea of consciousness, it had already been shattered. Otherwise, with his cultivation, it was impossible that he didn't even have the strength to stand up. Qin Feiyong took out a sea of consciousness pill and a soul pill and threw them to He Lang. He Lang grabbed them, looked at them, and threw them into his mouth. He looked at Qin Feiyong and asked, "You really didn't kill them?" "Nonsense. Not only did I not kill them, but I also gave each of them a peak-level divine artifact," Qin Feiyong said. "Humans are so generous. Besides, are peak-level divine artifacts cabbages? One for each of them, bragging without a draft." He Lang was disdainful. Qin Feiyong was both amused and helpless. He swung the coiling dragon rod. "What are you doing?" He Lang immediately jumped up. Qin Feiyong said, "I'm too lazy to explain to you. I'll just kill you." Don't. Let's talk nicely," He Lang hurriedly exclaimed. Qin Feiyong said, "Do you believe me now?" Yes. He Lang nodded repeatedly. "So reluctant?" Qin Feiyong frowned. He Lang said repeatedly, Not reluctant. I really believe you." Qin Feiyong shook his head and laughed. He put away the coiling dragon rod and said, "Actually, if you think about it seriously, you should be able to think that if I really killed the 3 black leopard brothers, would I let you go now?" "Seems like it." He Lang pondered for a while and nodded. Qin Feiyong asked, "The 3 black leopard brothers told me that you know Black Rock City like the back of your hand?" "Yes." "Why?" He Lang looked at him suspiciously. "What about the City Lord's mansion?" Qin Feiyong said. "The City Lord's mansion." He Lang's pupils immediately constricted, and there was an unresolvable fear in his heart. Qin Feiyong asked, "You know the City Lord's mansion?" Who doesn't know about the City Lord mansion? However, this City Lord's mansion is truly a dragon's lair and tiger's den. Why are you asking about this? He Lang was bewildered. Qin Feiyong smiled and said, "All right, take me to the City Lord's mansion now." "What?" He Lang's eyes widened as he looked at Qin Feiyong in shock. Following closely, its body quickly shrunk to about a meter long. Then, it waved its claws again, and the supreme grade trident turned into a stream of light and disappeared into its body. Immediately, it seemed to have discovered something. It suddenly stared behind Qin Feiyong and exclaimed, "Look, what's that?" Qin Feiyong was stunned and immediately turned to look. However, he saw nothing in the void behind him. Just as Qin Feiyong turned his head, He Lang laughed sinisterly and rushed towards the depths of the canyon without looking back. Was he fooled? Qin Feiyong turned around and stared blankly at He Lang, who had disappeared from his line of sight. He was quite crafty, however. Want to slip away from under his nose? Was that possible? To the City Lord's mansion? You must be crazy. Not to mention that you're just a friend of the 3 Black Panther brothers. Even if you're their father, I won't accompany you to your death." He Lang turned around and saw that Qin Feiyong did not chase after him, so he started cursing loudly. "No, this place has been exposed. We can't stay here any longer. Move immediately." After rushing all the way to the deepest part of the canyon, He Lang stopped in front of a small mound. The small mound was about 2 meters tall and overgrown with weeds. At the top of the small mound, there was a pure white lotus. It was about the size of a baby's fist and had a total of 9 leaves. Each leaf seemed to be carved out of precious jade, like a snow lotus, suffused with a hazy divine light. Looking at the lotus, He Lang's eyes lit up. 9th grade immortal lotus. An exclamation suddenly sounded behind He Lang. The black wolf immediately quivered and turned its head to look. It saw that Qin Feiyong was actually standing behind it at an unknown time. He Lang was about to speak, but when he saw Qin Feiyong's fiery gaze, he immediately pounced on the 9th grade immortal lotus. "Don't hurt its roots." Qin Feiyong's expression changed, and he immediately shouted. He never thought that there would be a 9th grade immortal lotus here. "The 9th grade immortal lotus is mine. What does it have to do with you?" He Lang pulled out the 9th grade immortal lotus with one claw and stared at Qin Feiyong as if guarding against a thief. Qin Feiyong heaved a sigh of relief. Although He Lang's actions were a bit rough, he did not hurt the 9th grade immortal lotus's leaves and roots. In other words, it could be replanted. Every leaf of the ninth-grade immortal lotus could be refined into a pill. So even if he lost a piece, his heart would ache. Let's talk nicely. As long as you give me this ninth-grade immortal lotus and take me to the city lord's mansion, I will give you a good fortune. Qin Feiyong tried his best to speak in a calm tone as he looked at He Lang and smiled. Good fortune? He Lang was stunned. His eyes rolled and said, if you can give me a pinnacle-level divine weapon, I will give you the ninth-grade immortal lotus. As for going to the city lord's mansion, that's another story. So cheap? Qin Feiyong was stunned. No matter what others thought, he felt that exchanging a pinnacle-level divine weapon for a ninth-grade immortal lotus was a good deal. However, if he agreed so easily, He Lang might increase the price at the last minute. Qin Feiyong's eyes flashed slightly and said in a deep voice, don't ask for too much. Go to the Black Rock City and see how many people have pinnacle-level divine weapons. I don't care. In short, if you don't have a pinnacle-level divine weapon, let's talk face-to-face. Of course. If you are willing to give me your legendary-level divine weapon, I will not only give you the ninth-grade immortal lotus, but also take you to the city lord's mansion. He Lang chuckled. In your dreams, I only have one legendary-level divine weapon. If I give it to you, what will I use? Qin Feiyong snorted coldly, looking very troubled. So, I only want a pinnacle-level divine weapon. Isn't that very reasonable? He Lang said narcissistically. Yes, yes, yes. I have never seen such an understanding wolf like you. Qin Feiyong was speechless. Then what are you hesitating for? He Lang said. All right, I'll give it to you. Qin Feiyong nodded reluctantly. Whoosh. However, at this moment, a sharp sound of breaking through the air was heard. A fatal crisis immediately engulfed his heart. Qin Feiyong grabbed He Lang without hesitation and rushed to the side. Boom. As soon as he left, a black arrow pierced through the air like lightning and blasted into the small mound. With a loud bang, the small mound was of course shattered. The mountain peaks on all sides of the canyon also instantly collapsed. How dare you sneak attack me? He Lang was furious. No, he should be trying to kill me. Qin Feiyong shook his head. A man and a wolf soared into the sky, glancing gloomily at the devastated canyon, and then looked up at the void in front of them. But as far as their eyes could see, there was no one. No one? He Lang raised his eyebrows. Over there. Qin Feiyong pointed to a giant mountain not far away. At the top of the mountain, a middle-aged man stood impressively. His body was thin, and he wore a black robe. His pair of eyes were a bit long and narrow, like a poisonous snake, emitting a trace of cold light. And in his hand, he held a jet-black divine bow that emitted a faint light. Behind the black-robed man, there was a young man and a young woman. It was the man and woman from before. So it's them. I knew they weren't just passing by. They must have rushed to the ninth-grade immortal lotus. He Lang's eyes flashed fiercely. Qin Feiyong stared at the three of them with a flash of ridicule in his eyes. He smiled at He Lang and said, Then you should thank me. Thank you? He Lang was stunned and sneered. Are you stupid? Why should I thank you? That middle-aged man should have been hiding in the dark, looking for a chance to kill you in one shot. In other words, that man and woman were just bait to confuse you. If I didn't appear just now, with your carelessness, do you think you could have escaped the middle-aged man's sneak attack? Qin Feiyong said. Who said so? Don't look down on me. Carelessness is only on the surface. In fact, I have been secretly vigilant. Sneak attack me? It's not that I look down on them, but I wouldn't be afraid even if there were 10 of them. He Lang's face was full of disdain, but in his heart, he was indeed a little grateful to Qin Feiyong, because no matter how confident he was, he didn't dare to say that he couldn't block the sneak attack of a pinnacle divine artifact. Are you sure you're not afraid? Qin Feiyong said. Of course I'm sure. He Lang said proudly. Okay then, go and take care of them. That middle-aged man isn't very strong. He's just a perfected divine lord. As for the divine bow in his hand, it's only a pinnacle divine artifact. Qin Feiyong said with a smile. A pinnacle divine artifact. Hei Lang's pupil shrank as he looked at Qin Feiyang and said with a smile, "Since you're the brother of the 3 black leopard brothers, then you're also my brother. It's too strange to talk about this between brothers." The speed at which he changed his attitude was faster than flipping a book. Qin Feiyang's face twitched and said, "Not brothers, just friends." Hei Lang said, "Good friends. Isn't that equivalent to brothers?" Qin Feiyang said, "Since we're brothers, then this 9th grade immortal lotus and the City Lord Mansion? Isn't it just a 9th grade immortal lotus? What's the harm in giving it to you? As for the City Lord Mansion, for my brother, I'll be willing to sacrifice my life." Hei Lang didn't blush and roared righteously, "Shameless." The corner of Qin Feiyang's mouth twitched fiercely. This guy was even worse than the white-eyed wolf. At the same time, the middle-aged man in black also stared at Qin Feiyang in surprise. Originally, he was full of confidence that he could kill Qin Feiyang in one shot. But he didn't expect that the other party's reaction was so fast that he actually dodged his fatal arrow. "Brother Yunqing, you must kill him and snatch the legendary divine artifact." "That's right. As long as we get this legendary divine artifact, then in the Black Rock City, except for the City Lord Mansion, no one is a match for our Wu family," the young man and woman urged. "Don't worry. Not only the legendary divine artifact, but also the 9th grade immortal lotus. Today, it will be ours." The man in black smiled coldly. Since he had been discovered, there was naturally no need to hide anymore. He took a step forward and landed in front of Qin Feiyang and Hei Lang. The young man and woman followed closely behind the man in black, staring at Qin Feiyang with cold smiles on their faces. Qin Feiyang sighed and said, "Is this how you repay your savior? We didn't ask you to save us. You were the one who wanted to meddle in our business, and you want us to repay you? Are you an idiot?" The two of them sneered mercilessly. Chapter 2375. For a moment, Qin Feiyang was speechless. He had seen a lot of ungrateful people, but after being ungrateful, he could still insult his benefactor so confidently. This was the first time he had seen someone like that. This shouldn't be considered a human, right? Because even a dog knew how to repay a favor. If you know what's good for you, hand over the legendary level artifact immediately. I can consider leaving you an intact corpse. The black-clothed man looked at Qin Feiyang and said. Qin Feiyang couldn't help but laugh, looked at the black-clothed man, and asked, "You are from the same family?" The black-clothed man nodded. "Black Rock City?" Qin Feiyang asked again. "Black Rock City Wu family." The black-clothed man said proudly. "Don't be so proud. I don't know how strong the Wu family is. But one thing I can see is that your Wu family is not very united." Qin Feiyang laughed. "Don't talk nonsense. You don't even know the situation of my Wu family. How do you know that we are not united?" The black-clothed man said angrily. "It's very simple." Qin Feiyang pointed at the man and woman and said with a smile, "I judged it from their actions." The black-clothed man frowned. The man and woman also looked at Qin Feiyang in confusion. "If I'm not wrong, you didn't tell your clansmen that there was a 9th grade immortal lotus here. You wanted to take it for yourself, but when you sneaked into the canyon, before you could do anything, you were discovered by Black Wolf. You were very desperate, because Black Wolf was too strong. But coincidentally, I appeared here, so you asked me for help. Maybe at that time, you were indeed grateful to me in your hearts. But when you saw that I had a legendary level artifact, this gratitude directly turned into greed. What happened next, you don't need to think to know. You weren't willing to give up just like that, so you pretended to leave and sent a message to this person, asking him to come and help. Although this way, you will no longer be able to obtain the 9th tier immortal lotus, nor will you be able to obtain the legendary artifact in my hands. As long as you succeed, you will have done a great service to the Wu clan. In any case, no matter what the final result is, you will not suffer any losses. Am I right?" Qin Feiyang looked at the man and woman and smiled. "Are you following us?" When the man and woman heard this, their faces became extremely gloomy. "Following you?" Qin Feiyang smiled and said, "Do you think I'm in the mood?" "I don't believe it. No matter how smart a person is, it's impossible to guess everything. Who are you? Why are you following us? The two of them were furious. It wasn't their fault. Anyone else would have done the same. Wait, why is it different from what you told me just now? Hei Lang looked at Qin Feiyong and frowned. What's the difference? Qin Feiyong was startled. Hei Lang pointed at the man in black and said, Didn't you just say that he's been hiding nearby, waiting to ambush me with a fatal blow? Qin Feiyong smiled and said, I'm lying, don't you know? You bastard. Hei Lang snapped. To think that it was actually a little grateful before. It did not expect him to be tricking it. Humans were indeed not good. You're the stupid one. If he was really there, do you think he would hide in the dark and ambush you with the peak-level artifact in his hand? He would have jumped out long ago to steal the 9th-tier Immortal Lotus and kill you 1,000 times over. Qin Feiyong twisted his lips. Bastard, shameless, scum, scum. Hei Lang kept cursing. Qin Feiyong smiled helplessly. He looked at the man in black and said calmly, Are you still going to deny what I said? The man in black's face darkened. He turned to the man and the woman and said, Didn't you say that you just found the 9th-tier Immortal Lotus? Brother Yunqing, don't listen to his nonsense. We really just found it. Yes, after we found it, we immediately sent a message. After being together for so long, you still don't know who we are? How could we keep the 9th-tier Immortal Lotus to ourselves? The two of them quickly defended themselves. The man in black glanced at the two of them and turned to Qin Feiyong and said, Thank you for your reminder. I'll ask the Patriarch to pay attention to this in the future. Obviously, he already believed Qin Feiyong's words. No need. I'm just not used to this kind of petty person who thinks he's very smart. Qin Feiyong smiled calmly. The man and woman were extremely flustered. Who exactly was this person? If he really did not follow them, then his mind was too scary. It was as if he saw it with his own eyes. When we return to the clan, they will pay the price for the mistakes they made today. But you, don't think that I'll let you go just because of this. Hand over the legendary artifact and the 9th-tier Immortal Lotus immediately. You should know that even if you have the legendary artifact, you are not my opponent, because my cultivation is much higher than yours, the man in black said. Confidence is a good thing, but overconfidence is conceit. To be honest, to deal with you, I don't need to do it myself. Qin Feiyong chuckled, took out the coiling dragon rod and threw it to Hei Lang, saying, Take it. This? Hei Lang grabbed the coiling dragon rod and looked at Qin Feiyong in a daze. He actually gave it to it? The man in black was also dumbfounded. A legendary divine artifact was thrown to a ferocious beast as if it was nothing but dirt. All of a sudden, the man in black looked at the man and woman and asked, Didn't you say that they don't know each other? They don't know each other. Not long ago. He gave Hei Lang a hit and almost killed it. The two of them were also dumbfounded. If they don't know each other, would he be at ease to give the legendary artifact to that wolf cub? Do you think I'm stupid? The man in black said angrily. They really don't know each other. We're not lying to you. The two of them were burning with anxiety. The man in black's face was gloomy. The coiling dragon rod in Qin Feiyong's hands and in Hei Lang's hands were two different concepts. If the coiling dragon rod was in Qin Feiyong's hands, then he was confident that he could defeat Qin Feiyong with the pinnacle artifact in his hands, because his cultivation was 3 small realms higher than Qin Feiyong. But the coiling dragon rod in Hei Lang's hands became different, because Hei Lang was also a perfected divine lord. Naturally, the difference in their cultivation levels would disappear. Now, he was at a disadvantage, because the coiling dragon rod was 1 level higher than the divine bow in his hands. In short, Qin Feiyong just threw it casually and the situation was reversed. Go. Suddenly, the black-robed man roared and swept up the man and woman. Then, he flew away without looking back. In this situation, was there still a need to fight? If he didn't want to die, he had to escape. Qin Feiyong glanced at Hei Lang, who was still in a daze, and said, Why aren't you chasing? Okay. Only then did Hei Lang react, hurriedly nodded, and charged towards the 3 of them with the coiling dragon rod. Qin Feiyong's eyes flashed slightly, activated the concealment art, called him the Xing word art, and followed behind Hei Lang unhurriedly. Haha, with a pinnacle artifact, what are you running for? Come, come, come. If you have the guts, fight with this emperor for 300 rounds. Hei Lang laughed wildly. With a rod in hand, I have the world. The man in black's face was full of panic. He stared at the man and woman and said in a deep voice, "When we go back, I'll slowly settle the score with you." Heard it. The man and woman trembled. If they really returned to the clan and let the patriarch know about this, would there be a good ending? Suddenly, the two of them looked at each other, and a dense killing intent appeared in their eyes at the same time. Following closely, both of them took out a dagger, and while the man in black was not paying attention, they directly stabbed into the man in black's back. The man in black's chi was shattered on the spot. What? The man in black was in disbelief. He actually sneak attacked him? Sorry. You asked for it. If you didn't tell the patriarch, we wouldn't have made this decision. The two of them sneered. He snatched the divine bow from the man in black's hands. You're courting death. The man in black was furious, and his divine sense rolled out. The man and woman seemed to have expected this and immediately retreated. This, Hei Lang and Qin Feiyang, who were invisible in the void, were also a little stunned when they saw this dramatic scene. Who would have thought that the three of them would kill each other? Lord Hei Lang, this pinnacle artifact is for you. The man and woman did not escape. They ran in front of Hei Lang and respectfully handed the divine bow to Hei Lang. Because they knew, with their cultivation and speed, it was impossible for them to escape from Hei Lang. So, instead of making a futile struggle, they might as well be straightforward and give the divine bow to Hei Lang. Hei Lang might be happy and let them go. Hei Lang looked at the two of them and then looked at the divine bow. He instinctively took it, still in a state of confusion. Lord Hei Lang, we helped you solve such a big problem and even helped you get a pinnacle artifact. Can you make up for our mistakes and let us go? The two of them smiled flatteringly. Let you go? Hei Lang was slightly stunned. He finally recovered and lowered his head to look at the two of them. The two of them had a fawning look on their faces. Hei Lang looked at the man in black again. Although his chi was destroyed, the man in black did not sit still and wait for death. He controlled his body with his divine sense and desperately fled. Hei Lang grinned and rushed forward like lightning, swinging the coiling dragon rod and smashing it. No, the man in black roared. But not only did Hei Lang not show mercy, his fierce eyes were filled with a bloodthirsty light. Bang! The coiling dragon rod fell. The man in black's head suddenly exploded. His divine soul was also annihilated on the spot. Looking at this scene, the man and woman panicked to the extreme. How dare you snatch my things? You really don't know what's good for you. Hei Lang smiled disdainfully and plundered the man in black's universe ring. Then, he took the coiling dragon rod and the divine bow and walked toward the man and woman step by step. Don't kill us. We really know that we were wrong. Please, I beg you. Let us live. The two of them were so scared that they knelt down in front of a wolf and kowtowed repeatedly. Humans are indeed all cowardly trash. Hei Lang's face was full of contempt. Its eyes rolled around as if thinking about how to torture the two of them. But suddenly, a figure appeared in its mind. What about the human? It hurriedly scanned the void, looking for Qin Feiyang's trace. No one. Did he not follow? Was he still in the depths of the canyon? Hee. Immediately, Hei Lang laughed evilly. He didn't follow, right? Then I won't be polite. It looked greedily at the coiling dragon rod and the divine bow. A peak-level divine artifact, a legendary divine artifact, and the 9th-grade immortal lotus were still in its hands. This time it had really made a big profit. Originally, it still wanted to torture the two of them, but now it was not in the mood. For this legendary divine artifact, it naturally had to escape quickly. Roar. It let out a roar and returned to its original form. It opened its bloody mouth and savagely swallowed the man and woman. Then, it happily took the two divine artifacts and disappeared into the mountains below without looking back. Chapter 2376. Not long after Hei Lang left, 5 or 6 middle-aged men and women dressed as hunters quickly flew over. They were hunting nearby. Just a while ago, they heard that there was a battle here, so they came over to take a look out of curiosity. The battle is over? There seems to be the aura of a beast. Look, there's a headless corpse. Someone pointed below and exclaimed. The others immediately looked down and their faces turned pale. This headless corpse was naturally the man in black. So miserable. It's obvious that his head was smashed into pieces by something. But who is he? Without a head, it's hard to tell. The few of them surrounded the corpse, their eyes full of suspicion. Who cares who he is? Let's see if there are any treasures on him. One of the slightly plump, middle-aged men suddenly grinned and squatted on the ground to search the corpse, making a fortune from the dead. However, Hei Lang had already plundered everything. Why would it be his turn? Very soon, there was a trace of disappointment on this person's face. But then, his eyes suddenly lit up, and he took out a token from the man in black's clothes. This is. The others surrounded him and looked at the token curiously. The token was black. There was a word Wu engraved on it. Isn't this the Wu family's token? Could he be from the Wu family? Wait, don't you think that this person's figure is a little familiar? After hearing what you said, it is indeed a little familiar. Look, there's a scar on his left shoulder. I've seen this scar before. I already know who he is, the younger brother of the Wu family head. Who is so bold to kill him? And he is a perfected Sir God. After guessing the identity of the man in black, the few of them were shocked. Quick, send him to the Wu family. We will definitely get a reward. The few of them carried the man in black's body and flew toward Black Rock City. At the same time, Black Rock City, east side. In a dense forest, a 1-meter-long black wolf scanned the surroundings sneakily. It should be safe here. A moment later, Hei Lang chuckled and ran to a rock. He placed the 9th-rank Immortal Lotus, the Coiling Dragon Staff, the Divine Bow, and an interspatial ring neatly on the rock. Legendary Divine Artifact, Pinnacle Divine Artifact, and this interspatial ring. I wonder how many treasures there are in it. Looking at these things, Black Wolf's eyes glowed green. Following closely, it grabbed the Cosmos ring, dripped blood on it, and claimed ownership of it. Then, it checked the treasures inside. So many soul stones, so many divine crystals, so many pills. Immediately, its body shook, and its face bloomed with joy. Brother Black Panther, don't blame me for not upholding justice. I don't want to scam your friend either. It's just that his legendary divine artifact is too tempting. Hei Lang put down the interspatial ring, grabbed the coiling dragon rod, and rubbed it lovingly. He also found a dignified excuse for himself. However, it did not know that Qin Feiyong was standing right in front of it. Looking at the big black wolf's face at this moment, Qin Feiyong's face darkened. His veins bulged, and he wanted to kick it. This guy's conduct was indeed comparable to that of a white-eyed wolf. What should I do next? Have fun? Show off to those old guys? Or take a nap first? People are in high spirits when they're in a good mood. This life is really wonderful. No, it should be a wolf. A wolf is in high spirits when it's in a good mood. A wolf's life is so wonderful. Hei Lang couldn't stop laughing. Qin Feiyong couldn't stand it anymore. He snatched the coiling dragon rod from Black Wolf's claws. Black Wolf was stunned. It immediately looked around, and its fierce eyes were full of anger. Who was it? How dare he snatch the food from the wolf's mouth? But then, the interspatial ring, the divine bow, and the 9th-grade Immortal Lotus disappeared without a trace in an instant. Bastard! Come out and die for me! Black Wolf was furious. His immortal will appeared like a tide, covering the sky and the earth in all directions. Aren't you looking down on me too much? Qin Feiyong appeared, and his eyes flashed coldly. You! Black Wolf's fierce eyes widened in shock. When did this person catch up with him? How dare you take my things? Do you want to die? Qin Feiyong raised the coiling dragon rod and smashed it at Black Wolf. Brother! Black Wolf immediately fell to the ground. Qin Feiyong was startled. Brother, I didn't mean to. I just saw that you were missing, so I kept it for you for the time being. Brother, heaven and earth are witnesses. I didn't mean to take the coiling dragon rod for myself. Look at how kind and cute I am. Do you have the heart to hurt me? Hei Lang cried out tearfully. Qin Feiyang's face kept twitching. This bastard really had a talent for being an actor. Brother. We're friends, brothers. Think about it. How can a loyal wolf like me covet my brother's divine artifact? I'm really keeping it for you. If you don't believe me, I swear in the name of the 3 black leopard brothers. If there's half a lie, they will be struck by lightning. Hei Lang roared righteously. What the hell? Qin Feiyang looked at Black Wolf with a dumbfounded face. He finally saw what true shamelessness was. He swore in the name of the 3 black leopard brothers? If the 3 black leopard brothers knew about this, what would they think? They would probably sigh that they had made careless friends. Huff. Qin Feiyang took a deep breath, put away the coiling dragon rod, and said with a dark face, "Let's go to the City Lord Mansion." "Isn't it just the City Lord Mansion? What a small matter. I'll take you there right away." "But brother, the City Lord Mansion is full of experts. You have to give me something to protect myself." Black Wolf licked his face and looked at Qin Feiyang with a smile. Qin Feiyang clenched his fists and ruthlessly kicked the Black Wolf. The Black Wolf immediately howled and flew out. Black Rock City. At this moment, it was already in an uproar. Did you hear? The younger brother of the Wu family had died tragically outside the city. No way. The Wu family is so powerful, and he himself is very strong. Who would dare to kill him? I don't know. I saw his body when I found him. The Black Rock City is going to be lively. That's right. The Wu family will definitely not let the matter rest after losing a perfect Sir God. The streets and alleys of the Black Rock City were filled with such discussions. In the middle of the Black Rock City, there was a huge mansion that took up almost 1/10 of the Black Rock City. This was the City Lord Mansion. Grand, imposing, dignified. On all sides of the mansion, there was a guard every 3 steps and a guard every 7 steps. Even a fly could not fly in. The guards had at least the cultivation of a great Sir God, and they were all equipped with superior-grade divine weapons and superior-grade divine armors. Deep in the mansion, in a large hall, a middle-aged man in a brocade robe sat on a throne. His eyebrows were like swords, and he was imposing without being angry. Below him, a guard in black armor stood respectfully and reported the death of the younger brother of the Wu family head. The guard in black armor also had the cultivation of a perfect Sir God. Around the hall, there were 20 guards in black armor. They were also perfect Sir Gods. Moreover, the weapons and armors they wore far surpassed those of the guards outside. They were all supreme-grade divine weapons, and they were the city lord's personal guards. After a while, the guards standing in the middle of the hall looked respectfully at the man in the brocade robe and said, "My lord, this is what happened." When the city lord heard this, he shook his head and smiled. "I really did not expect that someone would dare to touch the younger brother of the Wu family head. My lord, do you need me to bring people to investigate this matter?" the guard asked. "No need." The city lord waved his hand. "My lord, I know that you don't care about the Wu family. However, this incident happened within the jurisdiction of our Blackrock City. If the City Lord Mansion does not do anything, I'm afraid that we will be criticized," the guard said. The City Lord nodded. "That makes sense. All right, take some time to bring people to the Wu family to take a look. It's also a formality." "Understood," the guard replied respectfully. The City Lord asked, "Has Yuna returned?" "No." The guard shook his head. "It's been so long, but he hasn't returned. Could something have happened?" The City Lord asked worriedly. "My lord, you're overthinking it. How can a small village threaten the young City Lord? Besides, isn't there still the commander? The commander is a half-step supreme god. It's easy for him to deal with a small village." The guard smiled. "That's true." The City Lord nodded and smiled. "You should also start preparing for the Dragon God Palace." "The Dragon God Palace?" The guard was stunned for a moment, then he slapped his head and smiled. "Look at my memory. There are only 2 years left for the once-in-a-century event." The City Lord smiled and waved his hand. "Then quickly go and arrange it." "Yes," the guard replied respectfully. Boom. Just as the guard was about to turn and leave, 2 powerful auras suddenly descended from the sky above the City Lord Mansion. One was the aura of a human. The other was the aura of a beast. Not only did they not hide it at all, but they also carried a shocking murderous intent. The city lord raised his eyebrows. The guard's eyes were also filled with coldness. How dare they brazenly barge into the city lord's mansion without prior notice or permission? They must be tired of living. The guard was about to rush out. Whoosh! But at this moment, a man and a wolf suddenly descended outside the gate. Who is it? How dare you barge into the city lord mansion? You're courting death. The 20 or so black-armored guards guarding the hall immediately waved their spears and surrounded the man and wolf. The city lord and the guard in the hall also stared at the man and wolf coldly. It was a dark-skinned young man dressed in black. His cultivation was not strong, only a low-level divine lord. However, facing a group of perfected divine lord black-armored guards, he was not afraid at all. He was calm and composed. The wolf next to him was a black wolf. It stood on the ground and looked very lively, but there was a big bump on its head. It looked quite funny. Chapter 2377. That's right. The man and the wolf were Qin Feiyang and He Lang. The big meat bun on He Lang's head was naturally beaten up by Qin Feiyang. This guy was so shameless that people would feel uncomfortable if they didn't beat him up. More than 20 bodyguards were ferocious. However, Qin Feiyang directly ignored him and stepped into the palace hall. Seeing this, He Lang shrank his neck and hurriedly followed in. A group of guards also rushed into the hall and surrounded Qin Feiyang and He Lang. So many perfect divine lords? This is like a sheep in a tiger's mouth. He Lang stood next to Qin Feiyang valiantly, but he was extremely flustered. However, Qin Feiyang's expression didn't change. It was as if he had returned to his own home, looking here and there. Who are you? What's your purpose of breaking into my city lord's mansion? The city lord stared at Qin Feiyang gloomily and shouted. The decoration is gorgeous and imposing. It suits the identity of a city lord. Qin Feiyang turned a deaf ear and commented on the layout in the hall. The city lord frowned. Where did this guy come from? A group of black-armored guards also looked at him with disdain. He was simply a country bumpkin who had never seen the world. But, on the other hand, it also reflects that you are not a good city lord. Because generally, responsible people will not do this kind of superficial work. In the years when you took office, you must have used the power in your hands to extort a lot of people's money. Qin Feiyang looked up at the city lord and smiled. How dare you? The city lord was furious and shouted to a group of black-armored guards, Take them down. No one had ever dared to enter the city lord's mansion without notifying in advance, not to mention breaking in. But now, not only did this person break in, but he also mocked him in front of his face. Did he think that the city lord was a decoration? Following the order, a group of black-armored guards immediately rushed towards Qin Feiyang and He Lang with bared fangs and brandished claws. It has nothing to do with me. He was the one who wanted to come. I was forced by him. Big brother city lord. No, 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 city lord. The heavens are benevolent. If you want to find trouble, go find him. Don't find me. Black Wolf was immediately stunned. What a joke. Over 20 perfect grade war gods, all equipped with supreme grade divine weapons and divine armors. Wouldn't they be able to kill him in a matter of minutes? A wise man submits to circumstances. It was an elite among the wolves. Qin Feiyang looked at it with disdain, then glanced at the guards around him. He looked up at the city lord and smiled. Don't you want to know about your son's current situation? Yuner. The city lord was shocked and hurriedly shouted, Stop! The group of black-armored guards immediately braked and stopped. You know my son? The city lord looked at Qin Feiyang gloomily. Of course. We've met not long ago. Qin Feiyang smiled. Met? The city lord was stunned and asked, Cloud Mountain Village? Yes. Qin Feiyang nodded. The city lord said, Is he still in Cloud Mountain Village? Of course. Not only now, he will also be in Cloud Mountain Village in the future. Qin Feiyang said. What do you mean? Could it be? He fell in love with a woman in Cloud Mountain Village and wants to settle down in Cloud Mountain Village? The city lord frowned. He had never thought that his son was already dead. Because he was confident. He was confident that no one would dare to hurt his son in the area under the jurisdiction of Black Rock City. Settle down? Qin Feiyong was a little stunned. He nodded and smiled. It seems to be the same. Anyway, he will stay in Cloud Mountain Village for the rest of his life. Looking at the smile on Qin Feiyong's face, the city lord felt that something was wrong. Qin Feiyong did not explain further. He glanced at the guards around him who were also confused. He looked at the city lord and asked, "Are all the guards around you here?" The city lord nodded instinctively. "That's good. I don't have to look for them." Qin Feiyong smiled. "What are you going to do?" The city lord said angrily. "What am I going to do? Isn't it obvious? I'm going to send you to hell." Qin Feiyong chuckled. "What? Send us to hell? Is he talking in his sleep?" The low-level divine lord dares to speak so arrogantly? The group of guards looked at each other. He must be a fool. The city lord sat on the chair, his hands grabbing the armrests on both sides of the chair. His face was full of mockery. But suddenly, his expression froze. This person did not come with good intentions. He had seen Yun-Er in Cloud Mountain Village. Could it be that Yun-Er had met with misfortune? Impossible. If the commander did not follow, this possibility could not be ruled out. However, the commander was by Yun-Er's side. He was a half-step divine lord. How could a small Cloud Mountain village hurt him? As for the man and wolf in front of him, a low-level divine lord and a perfected divine lord. With the commander's strength, he could kill them instantly. Laugh. Laugh as much as you want. Because this is the last time. Qin Feiyong smiled faintly. "Sir, I can't hold it in anymore. This kid is too arrogant. Let me kill him." A black-armored guard shouted. The other black-armored guards also stared at Qin Feiyong angrily. "Brother, can you keep a low profile? Look, there are so many perfected divine lords. And that bullshit city lord. Even I can't see through his cultivation. He must be a divine lord. You still dare to provoke them like this? Aren't you courting death?" He Lang was anxious. He had never seen such an arrogant person. "Bullshit city lord? That's a pretty good way to address me. It is indeed a bullshit city lord." Qin Feiyong laughed. He Lang was stunned. Immediately after, it sensed a bone-chilling gaze directed at it. He quivered and hurriedly looked at the city lord. With a flattering smile, he said, "City lord, I'm not talking about you. I'm saying, who was he talking about?" He didn't know, because there was only one city lord here. "Kill them." The city lord was furious and roared. A group of guards laughed and immediately pounced on the man and wolf. "I've really suffered because of you. God, I beg you, in the next life, don't let me bump into this fiend again, okay?" He Lang cried out in grief. "Can you be a little more promising? I've lost all my face." Qin Feiyong's face was dark as he kicked over again. Following closely, he swept his gaze at those fierce-looking guards and sneered. A group of ants actually dared to jump out and jump around? Still arrogant? There's no hope, there's no hope. He Lang shook his head. This was the craziest human it had ever seen. There was no one who could compare to him. Still calling us ants? This bastard kid. If we don't let him suffer a little, he won't know how much he's worth. Don't kill him. I want to torture him well and let him see the reality. Arrogant. You have to see who the opponent is? A group of guards gritted their teeth. Qin Feiyong lifted the corner of his mouth, and a strange, invisible force suddenly surged out like a torrent. "What's that?" He Lang was surprised. Although this invisible force did not hurt it, it could clearly feel the threat of death. "What?" The next moment, its eyes suddenly widened, full of disbelief. The moment the 20 or so black-armored guards were swept by the invisible force, they immediately fell stiffly to the ground. The most important thing was, there was not the slightest wound on their bodies, as if they had suddenly died of exhaustion. Only screams echoed in the main hall, lingering for a long time. What's going on? What the hell? Not only He Lang, but the city lord also suddenly stood up, looking at those guards with a look of surprise. Die just like that? No way. He carefully observed the situation of those guards. There was no fluctuation of life, no breath, no heartbeat. What was this if not a sign of death? Swish. All of a sudden, the city lord stared at Qin Feiyang as if he was looking at a monster. How did he do it? Qin Feiyang glanced at Hei Lang and said, "They all died before they could make a move. Tell me, if they're not ants, what are they?" Hei Lang came back to his senses and stared blankly at Qin Feiyang. In his heart, he couldn't help but feel a chill. He never thought that this person still had such a terrifying method hidden. If this person had used this method to deal with him outside the city, then now thinking of this, Hei Lang couldn't help but shiver. His entire body was drenched in cold sweat. He smiled flatteringly. "Brother, you're really too fierce. You're simply my idol. Brother, accept me as your underling. I'll follow you from now on." Qin Feiyang rolled his eyes. Hei Lang chuckled and immediately pounced on those guards, plundering their Qianquan rings and the top-grade divine artifacts that fell on the ground. It didn't even let go of the black armor on those guards. It was clean and not a single hair was left. Qin Feiyang shook his head helplessly, turned around and walked to the chair at the side. He sat on it and looked up at the city lord. The city lord was still in a daze. It wasn't his fault, because anyone who saw this scene would find it hard to face it. "Don't say that I didn't give you a chance. Tell me immediately where the city lord's mansion's treasure vault is, or you'll end up like them." Qin Feiyang laughed. "Treasure vault?" As soon as Hei Lang heard these 3 words, his saliva flowed out. Compared to the city lord's mansion's treasure vault, what he was plundering now was nothing. He immediately ran to Qin Feiyang and squatted beside Qin Feiyang like a little lamb, obedient and obedient. The city lord finally came to his senses. Swish. He immediately looked at Qin Feiyang with murderous intent in his eyes. Not only did he kill his personal guards, but he also tried to enter the city lord's mansion's treasure vault. His arrogance was boundless. Most importantly, his son, the commander of the bodyguards, and the 10 bodyguards who had followed him had most likely met with misfortune. "Do you know what cultivation level I am at? Beginner god. Killing you is as easy as killing a dog or a chicken. And that Cloud Mountain village. This city lord will personally lead my men to kill them all. This is the price you have to pay for angering me." The city lord suddenly let out a loud shout. An overflowing pressure surged towards Qin Feiyang like a raging wave in the ocean. Boom! The main hall instantly collapsed and shattered. The terrifying aura rolled in all directions, alarming everyone in the Black Rock City. Chapter 2378. What's going on? Why is the city lord so angry? In the city, people looked at the city lord's mansion in surprise. It's the city lord's bedroom. "Everyone, follow me to take a look." Inside the mansion, it was also a mess. Groups of guards quickly rushed to the main hall. Although the main hall was razed to the ground, Qin Feiyang was still sitting on the chair calmly. Black Wolf was also motionless. In fact, it was pretending to be calm. After all, the city lord was a beginner god. When a god was angry, blood would flow for thousands of miles. Looking at the city lord again, he was like a furious beast, staring at Qin Feiyang. "Not only will this city lord kill you, but I will also chop off your head and hang your corpse at the city gate. I will let the world know that this is the result of provoking the city lord's mansion. Little bastard, die." He waved his big hand, and a wave of divine power rolled out, pouncing toward Qin Feiyang. Black Wolf couldn't bear it anymore and ran away. But at the same time, Qin Feiyang also made a move. A wisp of blood rushed out and blasted toward the city lord's divine power. A monstrous killing intent also erupted. Boom! Immediately, that god power was like a withered tree that was easily crushed into pieces by the blood-colored light. What? The city lord's body stiffened. Black Wolf looked back and was also dumbfounded. What the hell was that? Even the city lord's divine power couldn't block it? What a terrifying killing intent. Who is so bold to go to the city lord's mansion to cause trouble? At this moment, the people of Black Rock City looked at the city lord's mansion in horror. This killing intent, at the same time. In a luxurious tea house, a woman in red was sitting in a corner, elegantly drinking tea. Even if there was such a big commotion in the city lord's mansion, she didn't go to take a look. She was very calm. But when the killing intent appeared, She suddenly stood up and stared at the city lord's mansion in surprise. It's him. That's right. I can't kill this killing intent in my entire life. Qin Feiyong. The woman in red's face turned cold. She took a step forward and left the tea house. Miss, you haven't paid yet. One of the workers hurriedly chased after him. However, the woman in red had already disappeared without a trace. City Lord's mansion? How is this possible? The City Lord and Black Wolf were both mumbling. A low-level divine sovereign had actually been able to shatter the divine power of an early-level paragon god. There seemed to be no other explanation for this other than a dream. But now, this scene had truly appeared before his eyes. Why is this happening? Wait, could it be that he was hiding his cultivation? The City Lord suddenly regained his senses and shouted, "Who are you?" But before he could finish speaking, his expression abruptly changed, and his eyes widened in anger and were filled with fear. This was because the wisp of crimson light had already arrived in front of him. No, with a mournful roar, the blood-red startled swan disappeared into his lower abdomen. A bloody hole instantly appeared. Qin Feiyong smiled and said, "Now can you tell me where the treasure vault is? You really came to Black Rock City." However, as soon as he finished speaking, a voice filled with killing intent rang out in the sky. Qin Feiyong was stunned. He looked up and saw a woman in red standing in the void above. "You're really haunting me." Qin Feiyong was quite angry. The blood-red startled swan turned into a stream of light and disappeared between the City Lord's eyebrows like lightning. Boom! The City Lord's head exploded on the spot. His divine soul was also annihilated. Following closely, Qin Feiyong did not stay any longer. He rushed behind Black Wolf, grabbed Black Wolf's tail, used the walk formula, and broke through the sky without looking back. Obviously, this woman was the Princess of Dragons. "What's wrong? Aren't you going to look for the treasure vault?" Black Wolf said. "Look for your sister. Run for your life." Qin Feiyong glared at it. In a few moments, he had rushed out of Black Rock City and entered a mountain. "Don't even think about escaping," the Princess of Dragons sneered. After chasing out of the city, she stopped in the void and did not continue to chase after Qin Feiyong and Black Wolf. "What do you mean?" Qin Feiyong was stunned. While saying such harsh words, she did not chase after him. Could it be that he would run over himself and surrender? No matter what she was going to do, he had to slip away quickly. Qin Feiyong immediately revived an altar. "As long as I find you, you have nowhere to run." The Princess of Dragons smiled coldly. Qin Feiyong grabbed Black Wolf and jumped onto the altar, saying, "If it weren't for the dragons behind you, I would have killed you right now." The dragons behind her? Black Wolf was stunned. He stared at the Princess of Dragons in bewilderment and exclaimed, "Could she be one of the dragons? You're getting bolder and bolder. You even want to kill this sovereign's daughter." A dignified voice suddenly sounded. This voice, Qin Feiyong's face changed greatly. Wasn't that Long Zun's voice? Damn it, why was this old witch here? "Altar, hurry up, hurry up," Qin Feiyong roared in his heart. Shwa. In the next moment, a ray of divine light shot out from between the Princess of Dragons' eyebrows and condensed into a blurry figure. Who else could it be but Long Zun? Previous chapter, next chapter, boom. Immediately, a vast amount of pressure pounced towards Qin Feiyong and Black Wolf like a tide. "Fire Lotus, give me the axe," Qin Feiyong secretly shouted. Even though it was only a clone of Long Zun, it was not something he could shake. Clang! Fire Lotus also knew the seriousness of the situation and immediately summoned her axe and said to the artifact spirit, "No matter what, we can't let Qin Dage get injured. If it's just to escape with him, there's no problem at all." The artifact spirit said. Outside, Qin Feiyong's mind moved, and the axe suddenly materialized. Clang! There was not a single word. The axe directly slashed towards the sky, and a monstrous aura surged out. That pressure was blocked. But without unlocking the seal, the axe was not Long Zun's opponent at all. Even though she was only a clone now. After all, when they were in the Sky Dragon Sea, Qin Feiyong activated the slaughter domain. Facing Long Zun's clone, he could only be abused. But fortunately, Qin Feiyong and Black Wolf, who were standing on the altar, were also rapidly fading away. They were about to be teleported away. So, as long as the axe could block it, even if it was only for half a blink of an eye, it was enough. There's still a long way to go. Let's fight again in the future. The axe did not continue to fight and entered the altar in a flash. Boom! The terrifying pressure of the dragon race instantly covered the sky and covered the earth. But before the pressure came, one man, one wolf, and the axe were finally teleported away. When the pressure came, the altar immediately turned into ashes. Damn it! Long Zun was furious. This was not the first time. To think that as the strongest person in the ancient world, she could not do anything to a small Sir God. It was really a great shame. Greetings, Lord Long Zun. A black-robed old man flew out of the city, landed behind Long Zun's clone, and respectfully knelt in the void. Who are you? Long Zun raised her eyebrows. I am the Black Dragons. Under the orders of the Patriarch, I have been guarding Black Rock City. The black-robed old man said. That's right. He was the backer behind the City Lord Mansion. A perfected god. Guarding Black Rock City? Then why didn't you know that Qin Feiyong entered Black Rock City? Why did you only come out now? Long Zun shouted angrily. Qin Feiyong? The black-robed old man was surprised. Although he had been staying in Black Rock City, the news about Qin Feiyong had long spread among the dragons. So, he also knew about Qin Feiyong's existence. He also knew that Qin Feiyong was Long Zun's biggest problem. In other words, the person who made a scene in the City Lord Mansion was Qin Feiyong that everyone had been looking for? Mother, you can't blame him. After all, he has never seen Qin Feiyong in person, and Qin Feiyong has changed his appearance. The Princess of the Dragons said. Mother? The black-robed old man was shocked again, and hurriedly said, Greetings, Your Highness. This strange woman was actually the princess. Because the Princess of the Dragons had also changed her appearance, he did not recognize her. N. The Princess of the Dragons nodded, looked at Long Zun's clone, and said, Mother, don't worry, I will find him again, and at that time, I will definitely not let him escape. Long Zun's clone nodded, turned into a stream of light, and entered the Princess of the Dragons' glabella. The black-robed old man heaved a sigh of relief. The Princess of the Dragons looked at the place where the altar was shattered, and a hint of anger flashed in her eyes. She looked at the black-robed old man and asked, Do you know why Qin Feiyong came to the City Lord Mansion? The black-robed old man shook his head and said, This subordinate has been cultivating in seclusion, so I don't know. I know this person too well. He would never kill the City Lord for no reason. Go and investigate immediately. You must give me an answer within half an hour. The Princess of the Dragons shouted, Yes. The black-robed old man respectfully responded, and immediately turned and flew towards the City Lord Mansion. Qin Feiyong, let's see how long you can escape. The Princess of the Dragons clenched her hands, and killing intent flashed in her eyes. Outside the city, Qin Feiyong, Black Wolf, appeared in the sky above a canyon. This was Black Wolf's lair. The axe was also floating by the side. So scary. Just now, I really thought I was going to die. Black Wolf weakly lay in the void, panting. Qin Feiyong was also covered in cold sweat. He thought that if he entered the Black Rock City, he might meet the Princess of the Dragons. But he never thought that there would be a clone of the Dragon Sovereign. Fortunately, he didn't rush to kill the Princess of the Dragons on impulse. Otherwise, it would have been another bloody battle. It didn't matter if it was a bloody battle, but he was afraid of hurting those innocent people. Ever since he saw the destruction caused by the unsealing of the heaven-defying artifact, he didn't want to do that again. Although war is ruthless, it should be avoided as much as possible. Besides, now that the castle was sealed again, even if he unsealed the axe at all costs, he couldn't beat the Dragon Sovereign. Black Wolf recovered, looked at Qin Feiyong and asked, Big brother, who are those two women just now? The Dragon Sovereign, the Princess of the Dragons. Qin Feiyong said, What? How did you provoke them? He Lang jumped to his feet, his face filled with fear. Although he hadn't seen the Dragon Sovereign and the Princess of the Dragons with his own eyes, in the entire divine continent who didn't know of their existence. They were the rulers of divine continent. So what if I provoked them? As expected, Qin Feiyong was right. You're just a useless coward. The artifact spirit snorted. Chapter 2379. What did you say? Say it again. Do you believe that I will beat you up? The black wolf stared at the axe angrily as if someone had stepped on his sore spot. Beat it up? Qin Feiyong was stunned. Did this wolf cub eat a leopard's guts? He actually dared to say that he would beat up a heaven-defying artifact? The artifact spirit was also a little stunned. It was the first time that someone dared to talk to him like this. No, it was not a human, but a wolf. What's more, he was a cowardly and shameless wolf. The black wolf was proud. But suddenly, its eyes widened, and it rushed behind Qin Feiyong, staring at the axe and said in surprise, Big brother. He can actually speak human language. Qin Feiyong was stunned. Only now did he notice a little. He was really slow to realize. The artifact spirit was also speechless. This big black wolf was really weird. He probably did not notice Qin Feiyong's real name. Previously, he had called Qin Feiyong's real name. But this big black wolf did not react at all. Was he slow to realize? Or was he really slow? It was probably not. He should have been frightened by the dragons and Princess Longzun. After all, such a big figure. Ordinary people would be scared out of their wits. The artifact spirit sighed. Qin Feiyong, I think you should keep a low profile in the future. I know. Qin Feiyong nodded. In the face of the dragons, even a heaven-defying artifact like the axe was helpless, let alone him now. At least until he broke through to the undead stage, he would have the qualification to challenge the dragons. Your name is Qin Feiyong? The big black wolf looked at Qin Feiyong suspiciously. Sure enough, the artifact spirit was speechless. He really did not notice. Qin Feiyong could not help but smile bitterly. This guy's brain should have been scared silly. The artifact spirit said, Okay, be careful. Qin Feiyong nodded. With a wave of his hand, the axe entered the castle and returned to the fire lotus. Big brother, this broken axe is completely rusted. It doesn't even look like it's qualified to chop firewood, but why is it so powerful? The big black wolf looked at Qin Feiyong in surprise. Chopping firewood? The corners of Qin Feiyong's mouth twitched, and he said, If he hears this, he'll definitely hack you to death. The big black wolf shrunk its neck and asked carefully, Then what grade is it? Take a guess. Qin Feiyong smiled. Legendary divine artifact? No. The coiling dragon staff is also a legendary divine artifact, but it's not on the same level as him. Could it be that he has already surpassed the legendary level? The big black wolf was bewildered. Qin Feiyong shook his head and smiled. He did not answer its question. He crossed his arms and looked at it silently. What is it? The big black wolf was suspicious. Was there anything on it? It was so awkward to look at it like this. Qin Feiyong joked, You already know my real name. I'm wondering if I should kill you to silence you. Silence me? Big brother, I have parents and children. My whole family depends on me. No, my whole family depends on me, a wolf, to make a living. You can't kill me. How about this? You take me in as your little brother. You'll live a good life with me in the future. No, I'll follow you in the future. I'll live a good life with you. The big black wolf's eyes trembled. It quickly stood up, stretched out its front two paws, and hugged Qin Feiyong's waist, crying and snot. There are elders and children at home? Qin Feiyong's face kept twitching. He really could not find the right words to describe this guy. Big brother. Look at me. My parents died early. I'm all alone. I don't even have a descendant. Can you bear to kill me? The big black wolf cried and rubbed its nose, tears, and saliva on Qin Feiyong's body. It rubbed its nose, tears, and saliva all over Qin Feiyong's body. Get lost. Qin Feiyong's face darkened. He kicked the big black wolf, and it was immediately sent flying with a cry. Big brother. I'm so pitiful. The big black wolf did not care and pounced on Qin Feiyong again. Stop. If you come again, I'll really kill you, Qin Feiyang shouted. When the big black wolf heard this, it immediately stopped and looked at Qin Feiyang pitifully. Didn't you just say that you have parents and children and that your whole family depends on you? Why did you say that your parents died early and you don't even have a descendant? Qin Feiyang said with a dark face. The big black wolf was stunned and asked, Did I say that? Nonsense. Do you think I'm deaf? Qin Feiyang said angrily. Sorry this. Cough cough. Actually, it's all true. My background is a little complicated. Yes, that's it. You have to believe me. We were just going through thick and thin together in Black Rock City. I definitely won't lie to you. The big black wolf laughed. Qin Feiyang rolled his eyes. This was a shameless guy. If this guy got together with the white-eyed wolf, wouldn't it cause a ruckus all day long? No. The white-eyed wolf finally stopped playing around and focused on cultivating in seclusion. He could not be led astray by this guy again. However, this pitiful look really made it hard for him to do anything. Qin Feiyang lowered his head and pondered. The big black wolf was extremely nervous. A moment later, Qin Feiyang shook his head, looked up at the big black wolf, and waved his hand. You can leave. Leave? The big black wolf was stunned. It really wanted to leave. But could it leave? Definitely not. Because until now, it hadn't gotten any benefits at all. Although the universe rings of the 20 or so guards and the supreme grade divine artifacts were also considered a considerable amount of wealth, but could they be compared to the peak-level divine artifacts and legendary divine artifacts? Big brother, just accept me. Don't look at how timid I am now. If I really want to be ruthless, I'm stronger than anyone else. The big black wolf smiled fawningly. That's not the point. You should know how powerful the dragons are. There's no benefit for you to follow me. Let me put it this way. In the eyes of the dragons, I'm a thorn in their side, Qin Feiyang said. He was actually lazy to follow him? It was really helpless. Of course I know that. Even the dragon sovereign and the dragon princess personally came to kill you. You're definitely not a good person. He spoke too quickly and directly spilled the beans. What did you say? Qin Feiyang frowned. No. What I mean is that you're definitely a good person. Otherwise, why would the dragons, these heinous bastards, chase after you? However, since we're already brothers, I definitely can't leave you and drag out an ignoble existence alone. So, I've made a big decision. I'm going to fight against the dark forces with you. The big black wolf roared with righteous indignation. Qin Feiyang smiled. He really couldn't help it. This guy was too outrageous. Didn't he just want the coiling dragon rod on him? And he said it so righteously. Big brother, I've already supported you so much. If you still want to abandon me, then you're a heartless man. The big black wolf looked at Qin Feiyang with grievance. Qin Feiyang shook his head and said, I've lost to you. All right, you can follow me first. Thank you, big brother. In the future, I'll definitely be at your beck and call. The big black wolf roared excitedly. Stop. Don't say such useless things. Qin Feiyang glared at it. Okay. I won't say any more. Big brother, since I've already followed you, shouldn't you give me something? For example, that coiling dragon rod? Don't misunderstand. I'm not greedy for the legendary artifact. I'm just fighting for your face. Look, as your little brother, if I don't have a decent weapon, wouldn't I be embarrassing you, right? The big black wolf licked his face and laughed. Scram as far away as you can. Qin Feiyang said expressionlessly and then lowered his head to think. A hint of disappointment flashed across the big black wolf's eyes. He smiled flatteringly and said, Big brother, where are we going next? Qin Feiyang patiently said, Remember, when I'm thinking, don't disturb me. Okay. The big black wolf nodded repeatedly. But in his heart, he was extremely unhappy. Don't you just have a few divine artifacts? What are you pretending for? Once this emperor gets his hands on them, he'll just leave and not be angered by you. About 10 breaths later, Qin Feiyang's face suddenly revealed a smile. What's wrong? The big black wolf looked at him suspiciously. Qin Feiyang smiled and said, In 2 days, We'll break into the city lord's mansion again. What? The big black wolf's eyes widened in anger. Go to the city lord's mansion again? Isn't this courting death? Madman, what a madman. Following this kind of person will definitely lead to a short life. What do you know? The dragon's princess changed her appearance and guarded Blackrock City in order to find me. This time, it wasn't easy to catch me, but she let me escape from under her nose. Guess what she'll do next? Qin Feiyang laughed. Of course she'll continue to wait. The big black wolf said. Wrong. Qin Feiyang shook his head. Wrong? The big black wolf was stunned. Qin Feiyang said, since I already know that she's waiting in Blackrock City, will I still go there? Only a fool would go. The big black wolf said without hesitation. Yes, only a fool would go. So, she'll definitely think that I'll leave Blackrock City, and she'll naturally go to other places to find me. Qin Feiyang laughed. I understand now. You intend to wait for her to leave before coming back. The big black wolf suddenly understood. That's right. The city lord's mansion's treasure vault can't be missed just like that. Qin Feiyang laughed. Treasure vault. The big black wolf's eyes lit up. Since it was for the treasure vault, it was worth the risk. Wait. Suddenly, the big black wolf looked at Qin Feiyang suspiciously and asked, Then how do you know when she'll leave? This depends on you. Go to Blackrock City and ask. Qin Feiyang said. Don't joke. Me, I'm not enough to fill the gaps between their teeth. The big black wolf shook his head vigorously. Only a fool would do something as suicidal as that. You're really not going? Qin Feiyang said. No, I'm definitely not going. The big black wolf shook his head like a rattle drum. All right then, I wanted to say that I'll give you a great creation after this matter is done. But now, it seems like I won't have that chance. Qin Feiyang's eyes flashed as he glanced at the big black wolf and shook his head regretfully. Chapter 2380. What good fortune? The big black wolf was startled and asked anxiously. Qin Feiyang laughed. A great fortune, even more important than the legendary level artifact. This, the big black wolf was stunned and said, All right, I'll go right away. It's just asking for information. It's nothing. Finished. The big black wolf then turned around and ran towards Blackrock City. Qin Feiyang laughed bitterly. It seemed like he couldn't get rid of this guy, and said loudly, When you come back, if you don't see me, just shout here. Got it. The big black wolf waved his claws without turning his head. I hope you can return safely. Qin Feiyang muttered. If he could return safely, it meant that this big black wolf was quite powerful. At that time, it wouldn't be impossible to train him a little. Next, Qin Feiyang entered the castle to cultivate. Blackrock City. City Lord's mansion, in a quiet courtyard. Princess Dragon sat in the pavilion, quietly drinking tea. At the side, 2 servant maids were waiting on him. Suddenly, the old man in black flew through the air and landed outside the pavilion, waving at the 2 servant maids. The 2 servant maids immediately bowed and retreated. After the 2 of them disappeared from his sight, the old man in black retracted his gaze, knelt on the ground, and said respectfully, Greetings, Your Highness. Get up. Princess Dragons put down her teacup and said indifferently. The old man in black stood up and said, Your Highness, I have already asked everyone in the mansion, and no one knows the purpose of Qin Feiyang coming to the city lord's mansion. Princess Dragons clenched her jade-like hands. The old man in black's expression changed as he knelt on the ground again and said, This subordinate is incompetent. Please punish me, Your Highness. Princess Dragons didn't even look at him. She lowered her head and looked at the table, her eyes shining with a cold light. A long while passed. Princess Dragons let go of her hand and asked, I heard from the 2 servant maids that the city lord of Blackrock City has a son? Yes. The old man in black nodded. Princess Dragon said, His father is dead. Why didn't he appear? Your Highness, please forgive me. This subordinate did not know about this matter. However, I heard that this person left Blackrock City this morning with the commander of the guards and 10 guards, but I didn't find out where exactly he went. I think only the city lord and the city lord's guards know about this. Unfortunately, they're all dead. The old man in black said regretfully. Left in the morning? Princess Dragons frowned. After leaving in the morning, Qin Feiyang came to Blackrock City and killed the city lord. Could there be a connection between the two? Thinking of this, Princess Dragons looked at the black-clothed old man and said, Go and check again. Where did the city lord's son go today? Yes. The black-clothed old man replied respectfully. Then, he got up and left in large strides. Qin Feiyang, you bastard. How dare you trick me in the eastern tomb? Wait. No matter where you hide, I will find you. Princess Dragons clenched her hands together again. When she thought of how she was played by Qin Feiyang in the eastern tomb, she couldn't help but feel a burst of anger in her heart. However, 3 days passed in a row, and the black-clothed old man still couldn't find the whereabouts of the city lord's son. The commander of the guards and the 10 guards seemed to have disappeared from the face of the earth. This gave the black-clothed old man a headache. How should he explain to the princess? He had no choice. He could only brace himself and go to find Princess Dragons. Without a doubt, Princess Dragons was furious and almost killed the black-clothed old man. After staying for another half a month, Princess Dragons couldn't stay any longer and finally decided to leave. Just as Qin Feiyang expected. She thought that Qin Feiyang had already gone somewhere else. After sending Princess Dragons away, the black-clothed old man finally breathed a sigh of relief. Half a month, plus 3 days, that was 18 days. While 18 days had passed outside, Qin Feiyang had already been in closed-door training in the ancient castle for 180 years. The reason why he was interested in the City Lord's mansion's treasure vault was entirely because he wanted to see if there was any green pear divine wood. Moreover, the nirvana tree that Li Dashan had contributed must also be in the treasure vault. These treasures couldn't be missed. Big brother, I'm back. The big black wolf's voice sounded outside. Qin Feiyang immediately woke up from his seclusion and immediately appeared in the sky above the canyon. The big black wolf was stunned and smiled obsequiously. Big brother, I didn't expect you to have a spatial divine object. Let's get down to business. Has she left? Qin Feiyang said. Yes. I saw her leave with my own eyes. The big black wolf nodded. You saw it with your own eyes? Qin Feiyang was surprised. This was a bit difficult. These days, I have been lurking near the City Lord's mansion. Not long ago, I was above the City Lord's mansion and saw a black-clothed old man send her away. How is it? I'm still a little powerful. The big black wolf chuckled. How did you do it? Qin Feiyang looked at him suspiciously. A wolf had been lurking near the City Lord's mansion for so long without being discovered by anyone? The big black wolf's expression froze, as if it was difficult to speak. Speak, Qin Feiyang said. The big black wolf lowered its head and said, I transformed into a human. He felt that transforming into a human was a form of humiliation for it. What's there to be embarrassed about? Qin Feiyang was speechless. Even the dragons had transformed into human form. What was a wolf being pretentious about? The big black wolf smiled embarrassedly and said, Let's go to the City Lord's mansion now? Of course. Qin Feiyang nodded, took an illusory form pill, and changed his appearance. What about me? The big black wolf looked at Qin Feiyang and asked. Qin Feiyang was stunned and frowned. Can't you transform into a human? But the big black wolf lowered its head, looking reluctant. All right, hide in my arms first. Qin Feiyang shook his head helplessly. Okay. The big black wolf grinned. Its body quickly shrank, and then it crawled into Qin Feiyang's arms. Qin Feiyang waved his hand, opened an altar, and directly descended on the City Lord's mansion. Half a month passed. The destroyed hall had been cleaned up, but it was not rebuilt. There were no guards nearby. Qin Feiyang glanced around and asked in a low voice, You said you saw an old man in black just now? Yes. His aura is very strong. I think he's at least a perfected paragon. And according to my inquiries, he seems to be the backer behind the City Lord's mansion, the Dragon's man, the big black wolf said. The dragons. Qin Feiyang's eyes flickered. As soon as the big black wolf saw Qin Feiyang's expression, he realized that something was wrong and hurriedly said, I think it's best not to provoke him at this time to avoid complications. You're quite smart this time. Qin Feiyang smiled. Of course. The big black wolf chuckled. You're starting to be smug? Then do you know why I asked you to come to Black Rock City to inquire about information? Qin Feiyang said. Because I can do it. The big black wolf blurted out. Can do it? How shameless can you be? Let me tell you, I was testing you. If you betrayed me, you would take the princess dragons to the canyon to find me. However, you didn't disappoint me. Qin Feiyang said. The big black wolf's pupils shrank. It turned out that it was a trick. Fortunately, he didn't make a mistake, or it would be over. Qin Feiyang laughed and said, Do you still think you're smart now? Of course I'm smart. Because I made a smart choice and didn't choose to betray you, the big black wolf said. Qin Feiyang was speechless, because what the big black wolf said made sense. Someone is coming. Suddenly, the big black wolf transmitted his voice. Qin Feiyang was shocked and hurriedly looked around. On a small path hundreds of meters to the left, he saw two guards. Both of them had the cultivation of a perfected divine lord. They seemed to have something to do and hurriedly walked over. Qin Feiyang restrained his aura, so the two of them didn't notice him. The big black wolf said, Catch them and interrogate them. Okay. Qin Feiyang nodded and walked toward the two of them. Big brother, wait. What are you doing? You're just going to walk over like this? The big black wolf hurriedly shouted. Otherwise? Qin Feiyang smiled slightly. We're here to be thieves. We have to sneak over and take them down in one fell swoop when they're not paying attention. The big black wolf said. That's what a small thief does. Qin Feiyang smiled. Okay, I'm convinced. The big black wolf said powerlessly. Who are you? The two guards finally noticed Qin Feiyang, and their eyes flashed with cold light. Big brothers, don't misunderstand. I didn't barge in. I got permission from the guard at the door. Qin Feiyang said as he walked toward the two of them. Then who are you? Why are you in the city lord's mansion? The two of them looked at each other, looked at Qin Feiyang suspiciously, and asked. Qin Feiyang looked around, leaned in front of the two of them and whispered, I know where the young city lord is. Young city lord? The two of them were stunned, and a trace of joy appeared in their eyes. But also at this time, Qin Feiyang grabbed the two of them and disappeared from where he stood. Black Tortoise Realm. Medicine Field. The two guards looked around in bewilderment. Qin Feiyang stood in front of the two of them and said with a smile, Welcome to my spatial divine object. Spatial divine object? So big. Who the hell are you? The two of them stared at Qin Feiyang warily. Qin Feiyang made a shushing gesture and said, Don't talk. Just answer my question. The two of them looked at each other, and a fierce light flashed in their eyes. Suddenly, they threw a punch at Qin Feiyang. Qin Feiyang did not move, and looked at the two of them with a smile. Roar! The big black wolf rushed out, raised its claws, and smashed towards the two of them. The two of them immediately let out a miserable howl, and fell to the ground in a sorry state. The big black werewolf stood in front of Qin Feiyang, arms akimbo, and shouted like an old man. How dare you be impudent in front of my big brother? Are you looking for death? It's you. The two guards recognized the big black wolf as soon as they saw it. They never thought that this man and wolf would dare to come to the city lord's residence. Qin Feiyang smiled and said, Now can you answer my questions honestly? Ask. The two guards got up and nodded. Seeing that the two of them were obedient, the big black wolf also started to look at the Black Tortoise Realm curiously. What? That's the spiritual infant tree, and the creation tree, Earth Flame Flower, Heaven Flame Grass, and Mother Earth Chaos Divine Ginseng. Wait, isn't that my 9th grade Immortal Lotus? Soon, the big black wolf noticed the herbs in the medicine field, and saliva instantly flowed out. Chapter 2381. Qin Feiyang didn't care about it. If it was outside, he would definitely pay attention. But in the Black Tortoise world, no one had the ability to take away a blade of grass or a tree from under his nose. Qin Feiyang looked at the two guards and asked, Where is the city lord's mansion's treasure trove? Treasure trove? So you're here for the treasure trove. The two guards suddenly realized. These days, they had been ordered to investigate the reason why Qin Feiyang and the big black wolf killed the city lord, but they had no clue. They had thought of many possibilities, but they didn't think of the treasure trove. Qin Feiyang said, "Answer me." "We don't know." The two shook their heads. "You don't know?" Qin Feiyang raised his eyebrows. "I'm not lying to you. We really don't know." The treasure trove in the city lord's mansion has always been a secret. The only people who know are the city lord, the young city lord, and the city lord's confidants. But these people have been killed by you. As for the young city lord and the commander, we don't know where they are now, the two said. Qin Feiyang couldn't help but have a headache after hearing this. If he had known, he would have read the young city lord's memory. Otherwise, why would he have to go through so much trouble? Qin Feiyang frowned. Besides them, no one else knows? What we said is true. If you don't believe me, you can catch a few more people and ask. The two nodded. Qin Feiyang said, "Then this treasure trove, won't it become an eternal secret?" "It won't. When the new city lord takes office, he will definitely start looking for the treasure trove," the two said. "Wait." Suddenly, one of them looked stunned, pondered for a while, and said, "There seems to be another person who knows the location of the treasure trove." "Who?" Qin Feiyang quickly asked. The guard said, "Long Qi?" "Yes, yes, yes. This Long Qi should know." The other guard also patted his head and hurriedly said, "Who is Long Qi?" Qin Feiyang was suspicious. Draconic 7 belongs to the dragons. Under the orders of the dragons, I am here to guard Blackrock City. Usually, even the city lord has to listen to him, the two guards said. Qin Feiyang suddenly thought of the black-clothed old man that the big black wolf had mentioned. He asked, "Is it an old man dressed in black?" "Yes. I heard that his cultivation base is already at the great circle of the paramount god level," the two said. Paragon. He's even stronger than He Lang estimated." Qin Feiyang's eyes flickered. Given his current abilities, could he possibly defeat a perfect paragon without activating the slaughter domain? "My lord, we've been very honest, haven't we? We've told you everything. Can you let us go?" The two of them looked at Qin Feiyang nervously. Qin Feiyang asked, "Where is Long Qi now?" The two of them said, "He's in the backyard right now. We're just about to go see him." "You're going to see him?" Qin Feiyang was curious. The two of them said, "The head of the Wu family came to ask for an audience, so we rushed over to report." "I see." Qin Feiyang nodded thoughtfully. Suddenly, he came up with a plan and looked at the two of them with a smile. "Take off your black armor." The two of them were very nimble and took off the black armor in no time. "Where's the backyard?" Qin Feiyang asked. "Follow the path we took just now and walk all the way to the end." The two of them said, "Okay, you can leave now." Qin Feiyang smiled. "Thank you." The two of them were grateful, but soon, a trace of suspicion crept onto their faces. Why didn't he tell them to leave? Why didn't he send them out? "Let's go. What are you still standing here for?" Qin Feiyang frowned. Where are we going?" The two of them were confused. Qin Feiyang said, "This space is very big. You can go anywhere you want." "Sir, aren't you imprisoning us in disguise? We've already answered your question. How can you do this?" The two of them immediately shouted. They didn't know that this was a real world. "Fire Lotus." Qin Feiyang spoke. Fire Lotus walked out of the castle. Qin Feiyang sent a sound transmission. Black Tortoise Realm should also inject some new blood and send them out of the Devil's Land. Pay more attention. "Okay." Fire Lotus waved her hand, wrapped the two of them up, and soared into the sky, disappearing like a bolt of lightning. Qin Feiyang put on a set of black armor and disguised himself as one of them. Then, he grabbed the big black wolf and appeared outside. "Big brother, you have such a big medicine field. Why do you want to steal my 9th grade immortal lotus?" The big black wolf went into Qin Feiyang's arms and said unhappily, "Didn't you say that we're brothers? Since we're brothers, then isn't what's yours equal to mine? You're treating me like an outsider." Qin Feiyang laughed as he walked along the small path, quickly walking inside. Shameless, the big black wolf complained. Not long after, a small lake appeared in front of him. The lake water was clear and sparkling. A few white swans slowly swam on the lake, looking very peaceful. On one side of the lake, there was a two-story pavilion. Looking around, there was no trace of anyone. Qin Feiyang jumped up and landed in front of the pavilion. Immediately, a woman's gasping sound entered his ears. Why is there a woman's voice? The big black wolf popped his head out and looked at the pavilion suspiciously. Children don't ask if they don't understand. Qin Feiyang sent a sound transmission. The big black wolf rolled his eyes at Qin Feiyang, listened carefully for a while, and laughed. So he's hiding here to have fun? The dragon's princess just left, and he came here to have fun. It seems that the dragon's princess gave him a lot of pressure these days. Qin Feiyang laughed secretly. The big black wolf secretly laughed. Why don't we go take a look? You have such a hobby? Qin Feiyang looked at him in shock. Purely curious, the big black wolf smiled embarrassedly. I think I have to call you a big pervert in the future. Qin Feiyang looked at him with disdain, took a deep breath, pretended to be very anxious, and called to the pavilion. Sir, what's the matter? A dissatisfied shout immediately came out. Qin Feiyang said, There's something I think I need to tell you. Speak. The voice of the old man in black sounded again, sounding even more impatient. Is it convenient? Qin Feiyang asked. If I tell you to speak, then speak. What nonsense are you talking about? The old man in black said angrily. Coming to him at this time, wasn't he deliberately trying to ruin the atmosphere? Okay, the young city lord is back, and he went to the treasure house, Qin Feiyang said. What? In less than 3 breaths, the old man in black ran out, his clothes disheveled, looked at Qin Feiyang and asked, Are you sure he went to the treasure house? I asked him. He said he was going to the treasure house. As soon as he came back, he went to the treasure house. I felt that this matter was a bit strange, so I specially came to report to you. Qin Feiyang said respectfully. Very good. Later, I'll reward you heavily. The old man in black patted Qin Feiyang's shoulder, turned into a stream of light, and flew to the back of the pavilion. Qin Feiyang was stunned. Is the treasure house here? He hurriedly looked at the pavilion and saw that the woman inside didn't come out, so he activated the concealment method and chased after her. Behind the pavilion, there was a pine forest about half a mile long. The evergreen pine trees were tall and straight. Entering the pine forest, Qin Feiyang saw the old man in black standing in front of a somewhat muddy pool. The pool was not only muddy, but also many dead branches and rotten leaves floating, exuding a rotten smell. Next to it, there was a pile of stones. It looked very inconspicuous. But when the black-clothed old man grabbed a piece of rock and forcefully turned it, the pool automatically split apart, revealing a gloomy underground passage. Then, the old man in black rushed in. So secretive? If no one leads the way, I can't find it at all. Qin Feiyang murmured secretly, and quickly rushed into the underground passage before the pool closed. The dark passage was about 2 meters tall, and it was pitch black. Qin Feiyang restrained his aura and dashed along the secret passage. After about a dozen breaths, he didn't know how deep he had been underground, and a stone door finally appeared. The stone door exuded a strong breath, but at this time, the stone door was open, and the old man in black stood in front of the stone door, glancing inside with a fierce light in his eyes. It seems that is the treasure house, the big black wolf said. Qin Feiyang nodded and didn't stop at all. He held his breath, suppressed his heartbeat, and went straight to the treasure house. What are you doing? Stop. He is standing at the door. Even if you are invisible, you can't escape his senses. The big black wolf hurriedly shouted. Why is this person so crazy? He also hurriedly stopped breathing and suppressed his heartbeat. But Qin Feiyang turned a deaf ear and finally came to the door of the treasure house, standing beside the old man in black. At such a close distance, the big black wolf was extremely nervous, for fear that the old man in black would kill it with a wave of his hand. Qin Feiyang wasn't worried at all. Turning sideways, He walked past the old man in black without touching the ground and successfully entered the treasure house. But the old man in black didn't notice anything unusual. What's the situation? The big black wolf was stunned. Is the invisibility effect so strong? It was a little unbelievable. Bang! Suddenly, the old man in black released his divine thought and instantly swept the entire treasure house and the entire underground passage. I'm dead, the big black wolf wailed. Although invisibility could escape the eyes, it couldn't escape the search of divine thought. Qin Feiyong was still calm. Why is there no one? Is he not here yet? The old man in black quickly withdrew his divine thought, and a trace of suspicion crept up between his eyebrows. He glanced at the treasure house again and waved his hand. The stone door quickly closed, and then he turned and left. What's going on? His divine thought didn't discover us? His cultivation level must be fake. The big black wolf was stunned. Previously, it thought that it was dead, but in the end, nothing happened. Fake? Qin Feiyong was speechless. If it wasn't for the divine moon jade pendant on his neck, not to mention entering the treasure house, he would have been discovered as soon as he entered the secret passage. But now, he wasn't in the mood to explain and turned to look at the treasure house. His face was full of shock. The big black wolf didn't ask any more questions, because it was also shocked by the treasure house. Chapter 2382. The treasure vault was more than 10,000 feet in size. Rows of iron shelves were arranged neatly. On the left were divine weapons, and on the right were divine arts. Inside, there were many interspatial rings and interspatial bags. How many were there? So many. Big Black Wolf came back to his senses and immediately ran to the divine weapons on the left. Because to him, divine weapons were more important than anything else. Qin Feiyong walked to the divine arts on the right. With so many divine arts, there must be one that was suitable for him to cultivate. Scanning with his divine consciousness, the information in the jade slips flowed into his mind one after another. Low-tier divine art, clear spirit technique. Low-tier divine art, focus technique. Middle-tier divine art, wind controlling technique. High-tier divine art, illusionary treasure book. Perfect divine art, cloud gathering sword technique. Return to one divine art, gradually. Qin Feiyong's face showed a trace of disappointment. There were many divine arts, but none of them were peak level, let alone legendary level. Now, a perfect divine art could no longer arouse his interest. Damn you! At this moment, Big Black Wolf's angry curse sounded. Qin Feiyong turned his head and saw Big Black Wolf angrily glancing at the divine weapons. What's wrong? Qin Feiyong was suspicious. There are so many divine weapons, but none of them are peak level or legendary level. The highest is supreme level. What kind of treasure vault is this? Big Black Wolf was furious. Originally, he was looking forward to it, but the result was disappointing. Black Rock City is just a small place in the Divine Land. It's normal that there are only supreme-level divine weapons. Qin Feiyong smiled. He didn't take it to heart, because what he was looking forward to the most was not divine arts or divine weapons, but soul stones. Although there were no high-level divine weapons or divine arts here, there must be a lot of soul stones and divine crystals. I don't believe that there isn't even a peak-level divine weapon. Look carefully. Big Black Wolf was very unwilling to give up. He released his divine consciousness and began to search. Qin Feiyong went straight inside and grabbed an interspatial bag. It was full of medicinal herbs. Basically, he had seen them before. He grabbed another cosmos ring, and his eyes lit up. The cosmos ring was filled with at least hundreds of billions of divine gems. Immediately after, he walked to the deepest part of the cave and grabbed a few more cosmos rings to check. One of the interspatial rings was filled with soul stones. It was estimated that there were billions of them. The others were filled with divine crystals. Innumerable. Suddenly, he found a jade box in a corner. The jade box could be as big as an adult's palm. The surface was spotless. The problem was that it was too clean. This was because the interspatial ring, interspatial bag, and even the iron rack were covered with a layer of dust. Clearly, this jade box had been placed here not long ago. He put down the universe ring in his hand and opened the jade box. A strange fragrance immediately assailed his nostrils. Shockingly, within the jade box lay 3 dark gray fruits that were the size of pigeon eggs. Strands of black mist coiled around them, and they emitted a mysterious aura. "This is..." Qin Feiyang's body trembled. Wasn't this the Nirvana divine fruit? As he had expected, the city lord had placed the Nirvana divine fruit in the treasury. "Wait, why don't I see the Nirvana divine tree?" Qin Feiyang glanced around. "No, the Nirvana divine tree can't be placed in the treasury. There is only one possibility for such a precious tree. Where is it planted? In other words, there should be a herb field in the city lord's mansion." Qin Feiyang murmured, and his eyes suddenly lit up. If there was really a herb field, then this herb field was the real treasure. Because the area under the jurisdiction of the Black Rock City was too large, even if one didn't deliberately plunder, one could collect a lot of rare herbs over the years. There were also crystal veins and soul vein. Even a small village like Cloud Mountain Village had a level 9 soul vein and crystal vein, let alone this huge city lord's mansion. Herb field, crystal vein, soul vein. These 3 things were very likely to be together, because crystal vein could nurture soul vein and herbs. Thinking of this, Qin Feiyang didn't delay any longer and immediately began to sweep through the interspatial rings and interspatial bags on the iron rack. Outside, the old man in black stood by the pool and glanced around, his brows tightly knitted together. He originally thought that the young city lord hadn't rushed over yet, so he stayed here. Because there was only one entrance to the treasury. Whether the young city lord secretly came or used the altar to teleport here, he couldn't hide it from him. However, it had been so long, but he still hadn't seen the young city lord come, which made him feel confused. "Lord Longqi." Suddenly, a voice sounded from the direction of the lake. The old man in black was stunned, and with a few flashes, he arrived above the lake, only to see a black-armored guard standing at the entrance of the lake. "Greetings, Lord." The guard bowed. "What's the matter?" The old man in black was suspicious. The guard said, "The Wu family head wants to see you, and said that no matter what, please go and see him." The old man in black frowned and said, "Did he say anything?" "No." The guard shook his head. The old man in black pondered for a while, stepped in front of the guard and said, "Let's go." "Yes." The guard nodded respectfully, followed behind the old man in black, and asked, "Lord, have you seen Pai Lupi and Theta Wong?" "Who are they?" the old man in black asked. The guard said, "They are my companions, and they came to report this to you before." "I didn't see them." The old man in black shook his head. The guard said in a deep voice, "Then they must be neglecting their duties." The old man in black's eyes turned cold and said, "If that's the case, then punish them severely." "Yes." The guard respectfully replied. "Wait." But suddenly, the old man in black stopped, lowered his head, and looked thoughtful. "Lord, what's wrong?" The guard looked at him suspiciously. The old man in black turned to look at the guard, waved his old hand, and a shadow quickly condensed and asked, "Do you know him?" The guard looked at the shadow and said, "Lord, he is Pai Lupi." "He is Pai Lupi?" The old man in black was stunned and said, "Are you sure? I have worked with him for many years, and I can recognize him even if he turned to ashes." After the guard finished, he suspiciously said, "But Lord, since he didn't come to you, how do you know what he looks like?" When the city lord was still here, small characters like them were not qualified to see the old man in black. So, the old man in black was not familiar with many people in the city lord's mansion. He came, but only one person came, and he didn't mention a word about the Wu family head's request. The old man in black whispered, "Not a word? Didn't he ask them to come and report this?" "And Theta Wong, where did he go?" The guard looked puzzled. The old man in black suddenly felt flustered and looked at the guard and asked, "Did the young city lord come back?" "No." The guard shook his head. The old man in black pondered for a while and asked again, "He really didn't come back?" "Really. I have been guarding the gate. If the young city lord came back, I would have seen him." The guard said, The young city lord didn't come back. He didn't mention a word about the Wu family head's request. Could it be? The old man in black murmured. Suddenly, he seemed to have thought of something, and his expression changed drastically. He immediately turned around and rushed toward the treasure vault. "Lord!" the guard hurriedly shouted. "Don't follow me. Go and tell the Wu family head that I am not seeing any guests today." The old man in black shouted without turning his head. "Yes." The guard bowed and replied. What was going on? The treasure vault. At this time, it had been swept clean. Although there were no high-level artifacts or techniques, it was worth the trip to get so many soul stones and divine crystals. Of course, this was only for Qin Feiyang. The big black wolf was still quite depressed. It had found the treasure vault with great difficulty, but there was not even a peak-level artifact. "All right, I will return this to you." Qin Feiyang looked at it speechlessly, took out the divine bow and threw it to the big black wolf. This was the peak-level artifact that he had snatched from the younger brother of the Wu family head. It was just a peak-level artifact. He did not care about it. If it was on him, he would find it taking up space. The reason why he had not returned it to the big black wolf was because he wanted to teach this guy a lesson. "Thank you." The big black wolf grabbed the divine bow and immediately became spirited. "Now that you have the artifact, can you stop following me?" Qin Feiyang said. "You want to send me away with a peak-level artifact? I am not a beggar. Even so, there is still a legendary artifact." The big black wolf said these words without thinking. Qin Feiyang looked at it coldly. The big black wolf noticed that the atmosphere was not right. When he saw Qin Feiyang's expression, he immediately realized that something was wrong. Don't misunderstand. I am joking. I am following you because I value your character. It has nothing to do with worldly things like artifacts. You have to believe me. I swear in the name of the 3 black leopard brothers." As soon as he opened his mouth, the big black wolf could not be stopped and was full of flattery. Stop. Qin Feiyang hurriedly waved his hand. If he did not stop him, who knew what kind of oath this guy would swear in the name of the 3 black leopard brothers? He could not let the 3 black leopard brothers take the blame. After all, they were all helping to find medicinal herbs. "Believe me, I am such a person who cares about character. No, I am a wolf. If your character is not good, let me tell you, I will not even look at you." The big black wolf said proudly. "Well, as long as you like it." Qin Feiyang rubbed his forehead, looked at the tightly closed stone door and said, "Go and blast it open." "Okay." The big black wolf shouted, immediately grabbed the divine bow, and smashed it at the stone door. But it did not get close. The stone door opened on its own. Qin Feiyang's expression froze, and he immediately realized that the situation was bad. He took a step forward and grabbed the large black wolf before vanishing without a trace. The stone door opened quickly. A black shadow rushed into the treasure vault. It was the old man in black. As soon as he entered the treasure vault, the old man in black was dumbfounded. Where was the divine technique? Where were the divine weapons? Where were the Chinkuan ring and Chinkuan bag? They were all gone. There was no suspense. The old man in black, who came back to his senses, was immediately furious. His divine consciousness rolled out and covered all directions. Chapter 2383. But he couldn't find anything in his spiritual sense. Damn it! The black-clothed old man was furious. He turned around and rushed out of the treasure vault. Standing above the pine forest, he released his spiritual sense again. But he couldn't find anything outside. "Bastard, don't let me find you, or you will die without a burial place." The black-clothed old man roared. His anger spread to the entire city lord's mansion. What happened again? The servants and guards of the city lord's mansion all looked at the backyard in surprise. In the castle, the big black wolf stood beside Qin Feiyang and looked at the black-haired old man in the picture. He laughed and said, "It's obviously right next to him, but I can't see it. This feeling of being a thief is really good." Qin Feiyang rolled his eyes at him and lowered his head to ponder. Where would this medicine field be? Ask someone? It definitely wouldn't work. Because The medicine field was as important as the treasure vault for a force. People as cautious and selfish as the city lord, and the black-clothed old man would definitely not tell others. Wait, since the treasure vault was in the backyard, was the medicine field also in the backyard? Qin Feiyang drove the castle to the pine forest and then turned the picture. In front of the pine forest was the lake and the attic. On the left and right sides, there were many halls. But behind the pine forest, he found that there was a mountain range, covering an area of about a dozen miles. In the Divine Land, such a mountain range was very small. But in a city, a mountain range that covered an area of more than a dozen miles seemed extremely vast. However, the mountains here were not high. In the mountains, the vegetation was lush and green. And in the mountains, he didn't sense the aura of fierce beasts. It was extremely quiet. Since this was the backyard of the city lord's mansion, then the mountain range in front of him should be the back mountain of the city lord's mansion. If it were him, he would definitely put the medicine field here. Thinking of this, Qin Feiyang immediately steered the castle and silently flew towards the back of the mountain. As for the black-clothed old man, to be honest, he didn't want to provoke him. After all, the other party was a perfect god. And, as a member of the dragons, he must have powerful divine weapons and divine arts in his hands. To be blunt, Qin Feiyang just wasn't sure. Where are we going now? The big black wolf looked at Qin Feiyang suspiciously. Qin Feiyang did not answer. While driving the castle, he scanned the screen. Very soon, he entered the central region of the back mountain and found that there was a large valley in front of him. The valley was surrounded by mountains on all sides, like an airtight cage. Qin Feiyang drove the castle to the sky above the valley curiously. Immediately, his eyes were filled with ecstasy. The valley was filled with medicinal herbs. Every stalk of medicinal herb was like a precious treasure, emitting a hazy glow. He recognized most of the herbs. For example, the tree of creation, the divine infant tree, the dragon saliva fruit, the white jade fruit, the purple spirit grass, and so on. In the middle of the medicinal field, there were even more precious medicinal herbs. For example, the everlasting divine fruit, dragon god flower, departed spirit flower, een soulwood, primordial divine lotus, etc. More importantly, the ingredients for Nirvana divine pill and chaos divine pill were also available here. He only saw 10 stalks of flame skygrass. He also saw 11 earth flame flowers. He also saw more than 10 ninth-grade immortal lotuses. There were even 6 Nirvana divine trees. One of the Nirvana divine trees was only about half a meter tall and did not have a single fruit. However, the other 5 Nirvana divine trees were all more than 2 meters tall, and there were more than a dozen unripe fruits on each of them. So many. Qin Feiyang's breathing became rapid. That half-a-meter-tall Nirvana divine tree was obviously the one that Li Dashan snatched from him. The other 5 were undoubtedly obtained by the city lord. One Nirvana divine tree had more than 10 fruits. There were also flame skygrass, earth flame flowers, ninth-grade immortal lotuses. These medicinal herbs were completely enough for him to refine pills. Suddenly, Qin Feiyang noticed that there was a strange tree beside the Nirvana divine tree. There were a total of 7 trees. Compared to the Nirvana divine tree, these 7 trees were extremely tall and thick. They were as thick as an adult's thigh. They were about 5 to 6 meters tall and had luxuriant leaves. Each leaf was the size of a baby's palm and was like a green jade carved with a hazy divine light. On the tree, in addition to the leaves, there were also many green fruits. The shape of the fruits was like a pear. Each fruit was as big as a fist, and they were also glowing with a hazy light. Fruit tree. Qin Feiyang was stunned. He had never seen such a fruit tree before. However, he felt that it was somewhat familiar. Wait, why did he feel that it was familiar? Could it be? He quickly turned around, ran to the altar, and opened the alchemy scripture. Soon, he knew what kind of tree it was. Divine green pear tree. The divine green pear tree used to refine the Nirvana divine pill came from this divine green pear tree. According to the alchemy scripture, it was squeezed together. The divine green pear tree had a total of 2 functions. First, the fruits of the divine green pear tree were sweet and had the effect of prolonging one's life and strengthening one's foundation. Second, the divine green pear tree. Every divine green pear tree would slowly condense a section of divine green pear tree at its roots after years of absorbing the essence of heaven and earth. The divine green pear tree was at most half a foot long. Moreover, digging out the divine green pear tree would not cause any harm to the divine tree itself. After digging it out, a new divine green pear tree would condense after a few hundred or a few thousand years. If the essence was abundant, it wouldn't take so long. A section of divine green pear tree would be born in a few decades. Qin Feiyang also didn't expect this. There were even divine green pear trees here, and 7 of them. To him, the value of this medicinal field far exceeded the treasure vault. He just didn't know if there was Mother Earth Chaos Divine Ginseng here. Because Mother Earth Chaos Divine Ginseng grew underground and couldn't be seen with the naked eye. He had to use his spiritual will. Qin Dage, you've made a killing this time. At some point in time, Hua Lian entered the cultivation room and stood beside Qin Feiyang. She smiled as she looked at the herbs in the medicinal field. That's right. We've made a killing. So many herbs. It's completely out of my expectations. Qin Feiyang chuckled. I don't know if you've noticed, but there are some herbs here that aren't recorded in the pill scripture. Fire Lotus scanned the few herbs in the medicinal field with suspicion in her eyes. Qin Feiyang nodded. Of course he noticed it too. For example, one of the small trees was completely blood red, as if it was soaked in blood. There were also a few blood red fruits on the tree. What was even stranger was that, although the fruit was only the size of an egg, it had a nose and eyes, like a baby. Qin Feiyang had no impression of this kind of small tree at all. Moreover, there was only one stalk in the entire medicinal field. Obviously, this small tree was even more precious than divine green pear tree and nirvana divine tree. It was possible that it was the herbs needed for the pill formulas recorded in the next page of the pill scripture. No matter what, he couldn't let go of a single herb in this medicinal field. Phew. Qin Feiyang took a deep breath and turned to look at Fire Lotus, saying, Give me the axe, just in case. All right. Fire Lotus nodded and immediately took out the axe and handed it to Qin Feiyang. Qin Feiyang grabbed the axe and appeared in the sky above the valley with the big black wolf. As soon as he appeared, Qin Feiyang was stunned. There were so many herbs in the valley, but there was no medicinal fragrance in the air. What was going on? Could it be an illusion? Perhaps, suddenly, his gaze focused as he scanned the air above the valley. The possibility of an illusion was basically not high. Then the only explanation was that this valley was sealed by a barrier. The valley was sealed, so the medicinal fragrance could not spread out. And not only was there no medicinal fragrance, he couldn't even sense the energy of the spirit vein and crystal vein. What are you standing there for? Hurry up and do it. The big black wolf glanced at him and rushed down the valley. Boom! Suddenly, a barrier appeared around the valley. The big black wolf was caught off guard and crashed into the barrier on the spot, feeling dizzy. But the barrier didn't even move. At the same time, the old man in black, standing above the pine forest, suddenly turned around and looked in the direction of the herb field. Why would the barrier react? There were no fierce beasts in the mountain. Could it be? Was it a thief who robbed the treasure vault? Bastard! The old man in black was furious and used teleportation to rush towards the herb field. However, although he was angry, this time, he was more careful and restrained his aura like a ghost. Above the valley. What the hell is this? The black wolf took a few steps back and looked at the barrier in surprise. The barrier also slowly disappeared into the air. This is the consequence of being impulsive. I'm afraid that Long Qi has already sensed the situation here. Qin Feiyang looked in the direction of the attic and frowned. The big black wolf raised his eyebrows and said, You knew there was a barrier here? I guessed. Qin Feiyang said. The big black wolf said angrily, Then why didn't you tell me? I said it was a guess. Besides, with your personality, if you didn't see it with your own eyes, would you believe me? Get out of the way. Qin Feiyang glared at it in annoyance and swung his axe. Seeing this, the big black wolf hurriedly retreated. Break! Qin Feiyang shouted in a low voice, rushed to the top of the barrier in one step, and chopped down with his axe. Buzz! The barrier appeared again, and then with a crack, it was torn apart. What? He actually broke the barrier that I set up? The black-haired old man who was rushing over suddenly showed shock in his eyes, and there was a trace of blood at the corner of his mouth. To be able to break the divine barrier that he set up, wouldn't that mean that his cultivation was stronger than his? His heart couldn't help but beat like a drum. As soon as the barrier was broken, a strong medicinal fragrance and a majestic energy surged out like a flood that opened a gate. Qin Feiyang's gaze trembled, putting aside the medicinal fragrance, because everyone knew that it was emitted by these medicinal herbs. And that energy was the energy of the spirit vein and crystal vein. He had never seen such majestic energy. It was hard to imagine. How many spirit veins and crystal veins were there? Mine. They're all mine. The black wolf was stunned for a moment and immediately pounced towards the medicinal field. Qin Feiyang ignored it and released his divine sense into the ground below the medicinal field. Immediately, his face was full of excitement again. Underground, there were a total of more than a dozen Mother Earth Chaos Divine Ginseng. His divine sense didn't stop and continued to go underground. Soon, his entire body began to tremble. This wasn't fear, nor panic, but excitement. Chapter 2384. What made him so excited was naturally the spirit vein and crystal vein. There were at least 100 spirit veins under the ground. The crystal vein was about the same. Every crystal vein and soul vein was entrenched in the ground like a divine dragon. This trip is so worth it. Qin Feiyang clenched his fists. He had obtained so many spirit veins and crystal veins in one trip. The divine land was indeed a place full of surprises and temptations. Compared to the divine land, the northern region, the eastern tomb, the western desert, and the southern wilderness were worlds apart. After coming back to his senses, Qin Feiyang immediately put away the axe and stood above the valley. Divine power rolled out and rushed to the bottom of the valley. That's right. He wanted to move the entire valley, including the spirit vein and crystal vein, to the black tortoise realm. Because it would save time. What are you doing? Don't be so violent, okay? The big black wolf said angrily. As it spoke, it secretly took away 2 ninth-grade immortal lotuses. It thought that no one would know, but little did it know that everything was under Qin Feiyang's eyes. But now, Qin Feiyang was not in the mood to fool around with it. Soon, his divine power covered the entire bottom of the valley, including the spirit vein and crystal vein. Rise. Following his roar, the ground beneath him began to shake. He's only a minor divine lord? Not far away. The old man in black stood on a small hill and looked at Qin Feiyang in surprise. How could a minor divine lord break the barrier he had set up? You're such a bastard. The big black wolf rushed out of the valley and glared at Qin Feiyang. During this time, it secretly took away 2 earth flame flowers and sky flame grass. The old man in black looked at the big black wolf. It's only a perfect divine lord. Strange. What's going on? The old man in black was perplexed. A small success godlord and a great perfection godlord were actually able to break open the enchantment that he, a great perfection god, had set up. Did they have other helpers? He was a very vigilant person and would not make a move unless he was completely confident. Crack. Following a series of loud booms, the entire valley began to leave the ground and rise into the air. There are so many herbs, spirit veins, and crystal veins. If there are other helpers, they would definitely stay and help. But now, there's only the 2 of them. Looks like I was too paranoid. Perhaps they used some other method to break the spirit formation. With this thought in mind, the black-clothed old man's eyes suddenly surged with killing intent. Like a shooting star, he flashed towards Qin Feiyang and the big black wolf like lightning. He no longer concealed his aura. What? The big black wolf's expression suddenly changed. Qin Feiyang's expression was also rather angry. Of all times, he had to come at this time. He really knew how to find the right time. Even the treasury and herb fields of my city lord's mansion have been robbed. You guys are really tired of living. The black-clothed old man let out a loud roar as a terrifying aura surged from his body. There was a strong dragon might in this vicious aura. Retreat. The big black wolf shouted anxiously. Although the herb fields, spirit veins, and crystal veins were tempting, their lives were more important. The other party was a perfected paragon god. Such an expert was not someone they could contend with. Qin Feiyang's eyes turned cold. He turned his head to look at the big black wolf and shouted, "You take over. I'll deal with him." "What? You still want to deal with him? Big brother, I admit that you are very strong, but can you not speak nonsense? Do you think he is a perfected god of war, a perfected divine lord? Do you really think you can deal with a mighty perfect paragon? The big black wolf said angrily, "Have you forgotten how I broke the spirit formation?" Qin Feiyang laughed secretly. The big black wolf was slightly stunned, and the shadow of an axe immediately appeared in his mind. "I see. Haha, old bastard. I advise you to get lost immediately. Otherwise, this day next year will be the anniversary of your death." The big black wolf laughed wildly as he released his divine power to replace Qin Feiyang and continue to move the valley. "What's going on?" The black-robed old man looked at the big black wolf suspiciously. Why was it suddenly so arrogant? Qin Feiyang turned to the black-robed old man and pointed to the sky. "Let's fight up there. In case the shockwaves from the battle destroy these herbs, crystal veins, and spirit veins. Are you that confident?" The black-robed old man raised an eyebrow. "You are a perfected paragon god. What are you afraid of? If you are afraid of the big black wolf, there is no need to take these herbs away. It doesn't have a spatial divine item, so it can't take these things away from under your nose. But if you are afraid of me, then get lost as soon as possible. Don't be an eyesore here." Qin Feiyang smiled faintly. "Do you think I am afraid of a lesser divine lord? Are you kidding me? Do you want to die? Fine, I will fulfill your wish." The black-robed old man stepped forward and rushed into the clouds like lightning. Qin Feiyang smiled coldly and flew up after him. "They're all gone. Then can I really take these treasures and run? No, no. If I really do that, not only that old bastard dragons, but even Qin Feiyang won't let me go." The big black wolf muttered and erased the unrealistic idea in its heart. Qin Feiyang was faster than it. The black-robed old man was faster than it. Run? No matter how it ran, it would be finished. The clouds. You really dare to come up? It seems that I have underestimated your courage. Fine. Then let me see what you are capable of. The black-robed old man smiled coldly, and his aura flooded Qin Feiyang like a waterfall. "So this is the aura of a perfected paragon god," Qin Feiyang murmured. Although this aura couldn't completely imprison him, it still posed a great threat to him. It was as if he had fallen into a quagmire, and it was difficult to move. "Die." The black-robed old man didn't hold back. He rushed forward and punched Qin Feiyang with his divine power. With Qin Feiyang's current state, it was impossible for him to dodge this punch. Whoosh! Without hesitation, Qin Feiyang immediately entered the castle. The black-robed old man's punch missed, and he immediately released his divine sense, but there was nothing around. "Didn't you want to fight? Why are you hiding now?" He couldn't help but shout. Whoosh! Before his voice died away, Qin Feiyang appeared in the distant void. Without saying a word, he directly activated the kill technique. Because now, divine techniques like the Dragon God technique and the Fire Phoenix technique were useless. Clang! A blood-colored long sword appeared in an instant. A monstrous, murderous aura suddenly roared in the sky. "Look, there are people fighting in the sky. It seems to be the guards of the City Lord Mansion." The other old man also seems familiar. It's him, Dragon 7 of the Dragon Clan. What's going on? Why are the guards of the City Lord Mansion fighting with him? That guard seems to be only a small success, Divine Lord. Heavens, has he gone mad? Although Long Chi rarely shows himself in our Black Rock City, who doesn't know that his strength is even stronger than the City Lord? He's really courting death. The Black Rock City below was in an uproar. Everyone's face was filled with disbelief. At the same time, in the sky, the black-robed old man looked at the blood-colored long sword in Qin Feiyang's hand in surprise. The power of this sword had surpassed the Divine Lord level? How was this possible? If it was a divine artifact of a certain level, it was still possible. But previously, he clearly saw with his own eyes that this blood-colored sword was condensed by this person's murderous aura. In other words, this was a divine art of killing. How could a divine art ignore the barrier of a large realm and increase the power to this extent? Not much, just this sword, Qin Feiyong said in a low voice. He wanted to see if the power of the kill by incantation would allow him to fight a great circle paragon without using his deadly domain. Clang! The blood-colored long sword shook and immediately flew out of his hand, carrying a blood-colored wave as it charged toward the black-robed old man. Humph! The black-robed old man snorted coldly, and a wave of divine power rolled out. This was the true power of the dragon god. The dragon's aura instantly enveloped the world. Boom! Clang! In an instant, the divine power and the blood-colored long sword met. Accompanied by a deafening sound, the blood-colored long sword was immediately shattered. Puff! Qin Feiyong spat out a mouthful of blood on the spot, his face filled with a bitter smile. What was this? He was completely unable to put up any resistance as he was being crushed like dried twigs. It seemed that he had overestimated his ability. This kind of thing actually did not need to be tested, because a perfect Divine Lord was a full 8 small realms above him. If the half-step Divine Lord was added, it would be a total of 9 small realms. No matter how heaven-defying the blood-colored sword was, it could not surpass so many realms. This is your strength? It really scared the hell out of me. The black-robed old man laughed. As long as one was not an idiot, one could hear the sarcasm in this person's words. Qin Feiyong sorted out his emotions. He was not depressed, because in the face of such a strong opponent, being able to have the courage to come out and fight was already worthy of praise. Die! The black-robed old man took a step forward, and in less than half a blink of an eye, he appeared in front of Qin Feiyong. There was a cruel look in his eyes. That speed, even Qin Feiyong could not catch it. Clang! But at this moment, the axe appeared, a piece of rust fell off, and swept toward the black-robed old man. The black-robed old man's heart suddenly surged with a strong sense of crisis. Without hesitation, he immediately dodged. But he still did not dodge. The rust pierced through his left shoulder, and blood suddenly spurted out. Axe! It's you. You are Qin Feiyong. The black-robed old man exclaimed and immediately turned around, stepping on the auxiliary technique, and flew away without looking back. At this moment, the previous arrogance had disappeared, and his face was full of horror. How could it be this fierce man? Although his cultivation was stronger than Qin Feiyong's, when he saw Qin Feiyong, it was as if he had seen a demon, because Qin Feiyong's deeds had long been spread in the dragons. Even the great ancestral dragons, who had always been high and mighty, were greatly injured by this man, let alone him. Now in the dragons, in addition to the great ancestral dragons and the dragons, even the patriarchs of the dragons' major clans did not dare to confront head-on, unless they had a heaven-defying artifact. As for the name Qin Feiyong, it was like a death knell that caused their expressions to change. Chapter 2385. Clang! The axe chased after him, piercing the sky with its divine might. Don't chase. But at this time, Qin Feiyong said, What's wrong? The voice of the artifact spirit sounded in his mind. Hurry up and retreat. Otherwise, when Long Zun arrives, we will be in a passive position again. As for this person, if there is a chance in the future, I will take care of him slowly. After Qin Feiyong finished speaking, he swooped down and landed next to the big black wolf. The ancient castle was sealed again, and he really did not dare to face Long Zun, because Long Zun was so strong that it made people despair. The entire valley, including the crystal vein and the spirit vein, had been taken out from the ground by the big black wolf. At least you know what's good for you. You didn't run. Qin Feiyong patted the big black wolf. Am I the kind of wolf that leaves my brother and escapes alone? The big black wolf was dissatisfied. Qin Feiyong said, You know, that's not what I mean. Then what do you mean? Are you suspecting that I'm going to run away with these treasures? What are you thinking? I treat you as my big brother. What do you think I am? The big black wolf glared at Qin Feiyang angrily. Qin Feiyang's face was dark. What was he thinking? Didn't he know in his heart? And he still wanted to complain to him? Fine. I can't afford to offend him, but I can't hide. Qin Feiyang waved his hand, and the valley, the spirit vein, and the crystal vein disappeared in an instant. Following closely, he immediately opened an altar and jumped on it. The axe also flew through the air and floated in front of Qin Feiyang. What are you doing? There's still me. Don't you know to say goodbye if you want to leave? The big black wolf hurriedly jumped up. Qin Feiyang said with a dark face, I just don't want you to follow me. Okay, we just went through fire and water, and now you want to burn the bridge after crossing the river? You are really heartless and have no conscience. The big black wolf glared at him angrily. Get lost. Qin Feiyang kicked, and the big black wolf howled on the spot, flying out like a meteorite. Bastard! The big black wolf roared. Qin Feiyang ignored it, and his figure quickly faded away. Wait for me. What should I do if you leave me behind? The big black wolf hurriedly rushed towards the teleportation altar, using all of its strength. It arrived just in time before the teleportation altar dissipated. This is too unbelievable. Long Qi is so strong, but he was actually beaten away by him? What level of divine weapon is that axe? The people of Blackrock City were all shocked. What? He appeared in Blackrock City again? Outside the city, the black-clothed old man stood respectfully in the air. In front of him was the image of a woman. The shadow was none other than Princess Dragons. Yes, the old man in black nodded. This damned bastard. He actually turned around and attacked. Looks like his motive for killing the city lord was for the city lord mansion's treasures. Princess Dragon said gloomily. Your Highness, although this person's cultivation is very weak, he has a heaven-defying artifact in his hand. People like me can't stop him at all. The black-clothed old man said. I know. Princess Dragons nodded. And I'm worried that he will come to Blackrock City again. Your Highness, why don't you send an imperishable stage expert to Blackrock City to guard it? The black-clothed old man was really scared. The other party had a heaven-defying artifact. A small fry like him was not enough to kill. A small Blackrock City needs an imperishable stage expert to guard it. Do you think an imperishable stage expert is a cabbage? Princess Dragons said angrily. I'm sorry. The black-clothed old man quickly apologized. Don't worry. The City Lord Mansion's treasures have been robbed. He won't go to Blackrock City again. I already have a plan. He won't be able to jump around for long. Princess Dragon snorted, and the shadow quickly dissipated. Sigh. The black-clothed old man sighed and turned to look at Blackrock City. To be honest, he really didn't dare to go back now. There was already a shadow in his heart. Whoosh. At this moment, a middle-aged man in black flew out of the city and looked around. When he saw the black-clothed old man, he immediately flew over and bowed. I'm Wu Dao. Greetings to Lord Dragon 7. What are you doing here? The black-clothed old man raised his eyebrows. Wu Dao smiled flatteringly. I'm here to report to Lord that the thief has left. Really? The black-clothed old man asked. And Wu Dao nodded. That's good. The black-clothed old man breathed a sigh of relief, looked at Wu Dao, and asked, I heard from my subordinates that you want to see me? Yes. Wu Dao said. What's the matter? The black-clothed old man was suspicious. Wu Dao looked around and found that there were many people watching at the city gate. He whispered, It's not convenient to talk here. Why don't you move to the mansion? We can talk while drinking. Okay. The black-clothed old man nodded. Canyon. Qin Feiyang glanced at the big black wolf and said, I'm going to the space divine item. You guard outside? Big brother, don't leave me behind. If you want to go, take me with you. You see, I have parents and children. When the big black wolf heard that, it immediately hugged Qin Feiyang's thigh and cried. Qin Feiyang could not help but feel a headache. It was completely relying on him. Big brother, I've been treating you with sincerity. Can you bear to do that? Let's talk about it later. Didn't you say that after the matter is done, you will give me a good fortune? As a person, especially someone as great and noble as you can't go back on your words. The big black wolf looked at Qin Feiyong pitifully, looking extremely wronged. Great? Noble? Qin Feiyong was speechless. There was really no way to flatter him. Enough. Don't look so pitiful. Those who don't know will think that I bullied you. Qin Feiyong glared at it. You were bullying me in the first place. The big black wolf muttered. What did you say? Qin Feiyong's eyes turned cold. No, no. The big black wolf hurriedly waved its paws with a flattering face. I shouldn't have come to provoke you. Qin Feiyong shook his head, let out a long breath, and entered the black tortoise world with the axe and the big black wolf. What is this place? The big black wolf looked around in surprise. Although Qin Feiyong repeatedly said that this was a space divine item, it felt that it was not so simple. If you follow me, you have to remember one thing. Don't ask what you shouldn't ask. Qin Feiyong glared at it and looked at Fire Lotus. Getting so many herbs, Spirit Vein, Crystal Vein, and Fire Lotus in one go naturally made him very busy. Girl, it's been hard on you. Qin Feiyong walked to Hualian's side and said with a smile, This is a small matter. It's not hard at all. Fire Lotus smiled, but there were beads of sweat on her forehead. Qin Feiyong helped her wipe the sweat away, then turned to the big black wolf and shouted, What are you standing there for? Come and help. Okay. The big black wolf immediately ran to Fire Lotus and smiled. Sister-in-law, please take care of me in the future. Sister-in-law? Fire Lotus was stunned. Qin Feiyong was also stunned. What was this? Wasn't this a random matchmaking? The artifact spirit could not stand it anymore and said angrily, Wolf cub, don't talk nonsense. They are brother and sister. So they are brother and sister. I'm sorry. Looking at the two of you, I thought you were partners. I'm sorry. The big black wolf bowed again and again, looking very funny. Qin Feiyong shook his head speechlessly and looked at Fire Lotus. Prepare 2 sets of herbs for the Nirvana Divine Pill and Chaos Divine Pill and send them to my cultivation room. Okay. Fire Lotus nodded. Qin Feiyong turned to the big black wolf and said, Give all the herbs you have to Fire Lotus. Herbs? What herbs? The big black wolf's eyes darted around. Was he discovered? That's not right. He was very careful at that time. He must be blackmailing him. Fire Lotus, I'll leave them to you. If he doesn't listen, beat him up. After saying that, Qin Feiyong turned around and entered the castle. Okay. Fire Lotus nodded and looked at the big black wolf with a smile. Little girl, you'd better not do anything. I'm not a human man. If you dare to do anything, I'll beat you up. The big black wolf looked at Fire Lotus fearlessly. Fire Lotus restrained her aura and looked gentle and obedient, so the big black wolf thought she was just an ordinary girl. Beat me up? Fire Lotus was stunned. That's right. Although you're big brother's sister, you'll have to call me big brother in the future, the big black wolf said. Why? Fire Lotus held back her laughter and looked at him curiously. Because I'm stronger than you. Besides, we're family now. You'll need me to protect and help you in the future. Shouldn't you call me big brother? The big black wolf shook his head and said leisurely. That makes sense. Fire Lotus nodded. What do you mean by makes sense? That's what I mean. Anyway, I won't mistreat you. When you're free, help me pour tea and water. It's best if you give me a massage. The big black wolf said. Pour tea and water? Massage? Fire Lotus looked at him in a daze. Where did he find the courage to be so impudent in front of her? Fu Tu stood at the side and watched silently as the big black wolf pretended to be cool. Because he knew that the big black wolf was done for. No one could save him. Just as he expected, Fire Lotus's face turned cold. She grabbed the big black wolf's tail and smashed him on the ground like a rubber ball. Bam! Ow! The big black wolf howled and shouted, Little girl, are you trying to mess with me? You still dare to be arrogant? Fire Lotus's eyes darkened. She stomped down and the big black wolf's entire body sank into the ground with a loud bang. Let go. Otherwise, don't blame me for not giving your brother face. The big black wolf roared. Does she need you to give her brother face? You'd better think about how you're going to repent. The artifact spirit gloated. Hearing the weapon spirit's words, the big black wolf's heart skipped a beat. Was he wrong? Was she actually a tigress? Soon, his guess came true. Under Fire Lotus's hands, he could not resist at all and could only be abused. Oh my God! Why is this sister even fiercer than her brother? Hero, big sister, spare me. He was no longer arrogant and begged for mercy. If this continued, he would definitely be beaten black and blue. Are you still arrogant? No. Do you need me to pour you tea and give you a massage? No need, no need. I'll pour you tea and give you a massage. As long as you say the word, I'll do it all. What about the herbs? Right away. I'll give them all to you. At this moment, Fire Lotus smiled proudly and let the big black wolf go. The big black wolf lay on the ground and looked at Fire Lotus with grievance. Tears were about to come out. She was clearly a tigress. Why did she have to pretend to be harmless? Wasn't she deliberately tricking him? She was too much. How could she be like this? Chapter 2386. In the ancient castle, in the cultivation room, Qin Feiyang took a divine life pill and walked to the altar. He opened the pill scripture and carefully read the refining steps and techniques of the Chaos Divine Pill and the Nirvana Divine Pill. He was also injured in the fight with the old man in black. If it were any other time, he wouldn't care, because the self-healing ability of the bloodline power was enough to repair it. But now, he was about to start refining pills, so he had to keep himself in the best state. And the steps and techniques of refining pills were also very important, because these herbs were very rare. He didn't want to waste them because of his carelessness or underestimation. Time passed by. A moment later, Fire Lotus entered the cultivation room and gave Qin Feiyang a total of 4 sets of herbs, 2 sets of each pill. Qin Feiyang smiled and said, "I'll leave the outside matters to you." Okay. Fire Lotus nodded, looked at the pill scripture and asked, "I heard from the big black wolf that you're going to give it a good fortune?" Qin Feiyang shook his head helplessly and said, "I just said it casually. I didn't expect it to remember it so clearly. This wolf cub is indeed a little unruly, but it's okay to keep it by our side." Fire Lotus said. Qin Feiyang asked in astonishment, "You've taken a fancy to it?" Fire Lotus smiled and said, "I just think it's fun. I don't know if it's fun or not. I knew it. Keeping it by our side will definitely cause us a lot of trouble. You can do as you see fit. If necessary, give it a potential pill," Qin Feiyang said. "Okay, then I won't disturb you," Fire Lotus said. Qin Feiyang nodded, and suddenly seemed to think of something and said, "By the way, when we're sorting out the treasures in the treasury, can you help me take a closer look and see if there are any better pill furnaces?" The current pill furnace was found by Tang Hai and Zhao Tai. It was just an ordinary low-grade divine pill furnace. Now that they were in the divine land, they naturally had to get a better pill furnace. There were also differences in the quality of deity cauldrons and pill fires. They were respectively lower grade, middle grade, upper grade, extreme grade, peak grade, and teleportation. Yes. Hualien nodded in response. She turned around and walked out, closing the stone door behind her. Qin Feiyang took a deep breath and closed the alchemy mantra. He calmed himself down and began to concoct the dan. First, what he refined was the Chaos Divine Pill. Chaos Divine Pills and Nirvana Divine Pills were of a higher grade than the 4 symbols Infinite Divine Pills. Be it in terms of spiritual energy or heat control, the requirements were extremely strict. When refining pills, he naturally couldn't be distracted. Qin Feiyang was concentrating on every step of the process. About an hour had passed. Whoosh! Finally, an earthy yellow pill flew out from the pill furnace. The 8 pill veins on it were extremely eye-catching. The cultivation room was immediately filled with a strong medicinal fragrance. Qin Feiyang watched in amazement for a while before he started to refine the Nirvana Divine Pill. He was as careful as when he was refining the Chaos Divine Pills. The 4 types of spirit liquids were successfully refined. Crack! However, just as he was about to fuse the spirit liquids, A crisp sound suddenly came from the bottom of the azure phoenix cauldron. Qin Feiyang immediately panicked. It was in this moment of panic that he lost control of the 4 drops of spirit liquids. The next moment, the azure phoenix cauldron suddenly exploded. Cauldron explosion. Qin Feiyang didn't hide and hurriedly retreated with the remaining 2 sets of herbs. But even so, he was still injured by a piece of metal. The wound was so deep that his bones could be seen and blood flowed out. Boom! The stone door opened. Fire Lotus and Big Black Wolf ran in. Looking at the dusty cultivation room, Fire Lotus's face changed and exclaimed, "Qin Dage, what happened? Are you hurt?" "It's just that the cauldron exploded. I'm fine." Qin Feiyang shook his head. "Cauldron explosion?" Fire Lotus was slightly stunned and said suspiciously, "It shouldn't be. With your attainments in alchemy, how could the cauldron explode? The Azure Phoenix cauldron's grade is too low." Qin Feiyang sighed. Before, the cauldron didn't explode because of his mistakes, but because the bottom of the Azure Phoenix cauldron cracked, causing him to be frightened and lose control. As for why the bottom of the Azure Phoenix cauldron cracked, without a doubt, it was because the Azure Phoenix cauldron's grade was too low and couldn't refine elixirs like the Nirvana Divine Pill. Before, it was estimated that the Azure Phoenix cauldron had reached its limit to successfully refine the Chaos Divine Pill. It was a pity that a set of herbs for the Nirvana Divine Pill was wasted just like that. "It's good that you're fine." Fire Lotus heaved a sigh of relief. "Brother, what kind of elixir are you refining that caused the cauldron to explode?" Big Black Wolf looked at Qin Feiyang in amazement. Qin Feiyang ignored him and looked at Fire Lotus. "Have you dealt with the crystal vein, the spirit vein, and the herbs in the valley?" It took him nearly 2 hours to refine these 2 elixirs. Fire Lotus must have dealt with most of the things outside in 2 hours. Of course, this was also because it was his first time refining, so it took him so long. When he refined it a second time, a third time, and slowly familiarized himself with it, the time would be greatly shortened. "I've transferred all the herbs in the valley to the herb field. As for the spirit vein and crystal vein, just like the god-level spirit vein, placed under the herb field," Fire Lotus said. "How many?" Qin Feiyang asked. "There are too many herbs. I didn't count. But I've counted the spirit vein and crystal vein. There are a total of 85 spirit veins of level 9 and below. There are 34 divine soul lines. Including the one we obtained from the Seven Birds Mountain, we have 35 divine soul lines." Fire Lotus said with a smile. "So many?" Qin Feiyang was shocked. Counting all the spirit veins he had, there were a total of 120. Qin Feiyang suppressed the excitement in his heart and asked, "What level are these god-level spirit veins?" Fire Lotus said, "They're all level 1. "They're all level 1? Qin Feiyang was slightly stunned and frowned. "Not even one level 2? "No. I guess level 1 spirit vein is the highest in this area of Black Rock City," Fire Lotus said. "Okay. Even if there are no level 2 god-level spirit veins, I'm satisfied." Qin Feiyang smiled and asked again, "What about the crystal vein?" "Level 9 and below, a total of 80 spirit veins. There are 50 god-level crystal veins. They're all level 1. Altogether, there are 130 spirit veins," Fire Lotus said. "Great. This is getting rich overnight." Qin Feiyang laughed. 120 spirit veins, 130 spirit veins, in the 4 major regions. No one except for the super forces like Ninth Heaven Palace and the Treasure Pavilion could afford this. In the Divine Land, just Black Rock City alone had so many spirit veins. It was hard to imagine how many spirit veins and crystal veins there would be in places bigger and more advanced than Black Rock City. To him, the Divine Great Land was a treasure trove of feng shui. "Okay, let's go and count the treasures in the treasury," Qin Feiyang said with a smile. He put away the 2 sets of herbs and the Chaos Divine Pill in a jade box and put it in the interspatial ring. "Am I seeing things? 8 elixir veins?" the Big Black Wolf muttered. The 2 men and the wolf entered the hall of the ancient castle. The hall was filled with interspatial rings, interspatial pouches, and all kinds of divine weapons and spells. After a whole day of work, the 2 men and the wolf finally counted the treasures. There were more than 200 billion spirit stones. There were more than 1 trillion divine crystals. There were countless herbs. There were tens of thousands of divine artifacts. There were also thousands of divine spells. However, although they had so much wealth, they didn't find a single elixir furnace. Fire Lotus said, "Chindage, you don't need the Nirvana divine pill now anyway. Why don't you go into seclusion and cultivate?" The Nirvana divine pill opened the door to the potential of a divine lord. To open the door to potential, one's cultivation had to be raised to a perfected divine lord. Qin Feiyang was only a lesser divine lord now. There was still a long way to go before he became a perfected divine lord. Okay, Qin Feiyang nodded. The princess of the dragons was looking for him. It was good for him to disappear for a while. Big brother, big sister, did you forget about me? This time, I can be considered to have made a great contribution in looting the treasure trove and herb field. Shouldn't you give me some? The big black wolf looked at the two of them with grievance. Big sister? Qin Feiyang looked at Fire Lotus in a daze. Fire Lotus was a little embarrassed. She didn't like this name either. But after she tortured the big black wolf, the big black wolf kept calling her that. Now, she was used to it. Big brother, big sister, say something. You can't erase my contribution. Let's not talk about the soul vein, the crystal vein, and the herb fields. Just the 200 billion soul stones and 1 trillion divine crystals are a huge number. The big black wolf felt wronged. Qin Feiyang sized up the big black wolf, his eyes flickering. Why are you looking at me like that? The big black wolf was suspicious. Qin Feiyang asked, think about it. Do you really want to follow me? Of course. The big black wolf nodded. He was secretly happy. He must be prepared to give him benefits. Otherwise, he wouldn't ask this. Aren't you afraid of death? Qin Feiyang asked again. No. The big black wolf shook his head. Qin Feiyang pondered for a while and nodded. Okay, I can give you a great fortune, but you have to be controlled by the slave seal. Control? The big black wolf was surprised. Qin Feiyang turned to Fire Lotus and said, tell him about the slave seal. Fire Lotus nodded. Qin Feiyang looked at the big black wolf and said, come find me when you've thought about it. Wait, what kind of great fortune is it? Can you tell me now? The big black wolf said, it can let you open all the doors of potential and step into half-step Paragon in a short period of time. Most importantly, you can cultivate in the castle and refine our soul stones as you wish. After Qin Feiyang finished, he turned and entered the cultivation room. What? Open the doors of potential? Step into half-step Paragon? The big black wolf was stunned and muttered, is this true? It's true. Think about it carefully. As for the slave seal, Fire Lotus explained in detail. After listening, the big black wolf couldn't help but feel his scalp go numb. Erase the soul? Peek into one's mind? And be able to sense its location through the slave seal? Wasn't this equivalent to handing over its life and freedom to this person? His original plan was to get his hands on a legendary artifact and then leave. No, it had to think about this carefully. Otherwise, once it agreed, it wouldn't even have the chance to go back on its word. Chapter 2387. A few days passed. The big black wolf finally made a decision. Regardless of his personal freedom, he had to get his hands on this great fortune first. Thus, it found Qin Feiyang. Qin Feiyang directly used the slave seal to control it. After controlling the big black wolf, Qin Feiyang was not stingy and immediately asked Fire Lotus to help it open the door of potential. He even gave it the Chaos Divine Pellet. However, Qin Feiyang had told it that it could take the Chaos Divine Pill first, but it could not break through. Because the Nirvana Divine Pill had not been refined yet, the door of potential of the Divine Lord could not be opened, so he had to wait for him to find a new pill furnace. In the blink of an eye, outside, more than 2 years had passed. Boom. At noon that day, Qin Feiyang's aura suddenly soared and directly broke through to the great success Divine Lord. I've finally broken through, Qin Feiyang muttered, opened his eyes, restrained his aura, got up, stretched his muscles, and pushed open the stone door. In the hall, Fire Lotus and the big black wolf were not seen. When Qin Feiyang walked out of the hall, he saw Hualien sitting in the courtyard at the side. She was comfortably drinking tea and enjoying her peaceful life. It's quite comfortable. Qin Feiyang walked into the courtyard and laughed. Fire Lotus was slightly stunned, then quickly put down the wine cup and said, "You're out?" "Yes." Qin Feiyang nodded and sat opposite Fire Lotus. Fire Lotus picked up the teapot and poured a cup for Qin Feiyang. Qin Feiyang picked up the teacup and took a sip, then asked, "Where's the big black wolf?" "Ever since it left, I haven't seen it come back for thousands of years. I don't know where it went to fool around." Fire Lotus shook her head. "Thousands of years?" Qin Feiyang was stunned. "That's right. A day outside is 10 years here. You've been in seclusion for more than 2 years, which is 7 or 800 days. 7 or 8,000 years have passed in that ancient castle," Fire Lotus said. Qin Feiyang stared blankly for a moment before he smiled bitterly and said, 10 years in a day. I'm really not used to the change in time rules. Do you know that in these 7 to 8,000 years, our black tortoise world has changed a lot? Fire Lotus smiled. What changes? Qin Feiyang looked at her curiously. Now, our black tortoise world is no longer dominated by false gods. A large number of war gods have emerged. Moreover, 2 superpowers have appeared. They have basically unified the black tortoise realm. You probably can't guess who's in charge of these 2 super forces. Fire Lotus said. Qin Feiyang said, "Don't tell me it's Huai." Fire Lotus asked, "Why would he do something so senseless?" "Who is that?" Qin Feiyang was curious. Fire Lotus said, "It's the 2 guards you brought in from the Castellan Manor. I think they're called Pai Lupi and Theta Wong." "It's them?" Qin Feiyang was dumbfounded. Just these 2 small characters could dominate the black tortoise world? Fire Lotus smiled. "Is it hard to believe?" Qin Feiyang nodded. "It's only natural. Because our black tortoise world's humans and fierce beasts aren't strong to begin with, and both of them are divine monarch realm cultivators. Tell me, with their divine monarch realm strength, what's so difficult about dominating the black tortoise world?" Fire Lotus said. Qin Feiyang was stunned for a moment, then shook his head and laughed. 2 small characters that are like ants in the outside world can actually dominate our black tortoise world. It really makes one not know whether to laugh or cry. Also, the soul vein and crystal vein we looted from the Castellan Manor have all evolved. The original grade 9 soul vein and crystal vein have all evolved to First Order High God Realm. The original First Order High God Realm soul vein and crystal vein have evolved to Second Order High God Realm. I've collected several hundred sets of Chaos Divine Pills and Nirvana Divine Pills medicinal herbs, Fire Lotus said. Several hundred sets? Qin Feiyang was dumbfounded. That's right. Just like the Nirvana Divine Fruit, as soon as it ripens, I will pluck it, then it will bear new fruits and so on. 7 to 8,000 years have passed. Naturally, there will be more. Fire Lotus said. Qin Feiyang suddenly understood, looking at the ancient castle with a smile. These are all bestowed by it. Yes, the ancient castle has really helped us a lot these years. We must be grateful to it. Fire Lotus said. Qin Feiyang nodded, asking, "What about Huai? Is there any news about him?" "No. You can take a look. Because you're the ruler of the black tortoise world, no matter where he hides, you can find him." Fire Lotus said. "Forget it. Let's not disturb him. As for Pai Lupi and Theta Wong, let's not interfere and let them develop." Qin Feiyang said. "I think so too. I also hope that one day, our black tortoise world can develop to the same level as the ancient world," Fire Lotus said with a smile. "The same level as the ancient world," Qin Feiyang muttered, sighing. "That still needs a long time, With the ancient castle's time law, it's only a matter of time." Fire Lotus was very confident of this. Qin Feiyang smiled faintly, holding his teacup and drinking tea. "Oh right, Qin Dage, I have an idea. I wonder if it'll work?" Fire Lotus seemed to have thought of something, looking at Qin Feiyang. "What idea?" Qin Feiyang was suspicious. To make the black tortoise world stronger, resources are indispensable, like crystal veins, soul veins, divine arts, divine artifacts, herbs, and so on. Fire Lotus said, "That's right." Qin Feiyang nodded. "So I'm thinking, those divine arts, divine artifacts, and herbs that we don't need, can we give them to the Black Tortoise world?" Fire Lotus asked. Qin Feiyang was slightly stunned, then suddenly slapped his head, saying, "That's right. Why didn't I think of that?" In these years, the divine artifacts and divine arts he had obtained could be said to be enough to fill an entire treasury. Not to mention the low-grade divine arts and divine artifacts, just the perfect divine arts, top-grade divine artifacts, and peak-grade divine artifacts were many. And these divine artifacts and divine arts were worthless to him, but to the Black Tortoise world, they were undoubtedly a treasure trove. Also, for example, the pill recipes you can actually give them because this is your world. No matter what they obtain, they won't be a threat to you. And as long as you're willing, you can take them back immediately. Fire Lotus said. That makes sense. Qin Feiyang nodded, pondering for a moment, then smiled. Those things are basically under your care. If you don't find it troublesome, I'll leave this matter to you. What's so troublesome about it? Not to mention, I have nothing better to do anyway. Fire Lotus said. Qin Feiyang smiled faintly, then took off his own universe ring, taking out all the divine artifacts and divine arts, saying, "These are also for you." For himself, he only kept the coiling dragon staff and azure phoenix sword. Fire Lotus said in surprise, "You're not leaving the other two legendary divine artifacts?" "No need. The azure phoenix sword and coiling dragon staff are enough. The other two legendary divine artifacts and peak-grade divine artifacts will be given to the Black Tortoise world. But you can't give them to them directly," Qin Feiyang said. "Then how?" Fire Lotus was doubtful. Qin Feiyang said with a smile, "Don't our Black Tortoise world have 4 forbidden areas?" "Yes. The Devil's Land, the Nether Sea, the Soul Sealing Valley, the Undead Mountain Range, and the desert in the depths of the Undead Mountain Range," Fire Lotus said. "The Undead Mountain Range, the desert, the cedar in the Undead Mountain Range has already merged with me, and the undead in the desert have also been devoured by you. I think we should call them the Desert of Death from now on," Qin Feiyang said. Fire Lotus was surprised, then asked, "You still can't forget about the cedar? How can it be so easy to forget?" Qin Feiyang sighed. Fire Lotus's expression also showed a trace of disappointment. "Forget it. Forget it. We can't let them get their hands on these divine artifacts and divine arts so easily. They have to rely on their own abilities and abilities. So, throw all these things to the 4 forbidden areas and let them find them themselves," Qin Feiyang said. "Okay." Fire Lotus nodded. Also, in the pill scripture, other than the Nirvana Divine Pill and Chaos Divine Pill recipes, make a copy of all the other recipes and throw them to the 4 forbidden areas, Qin Feiyang said again. Just as Fire Lotus said, he was the ruler of the Black Tortoise world, and even if the recipes were to spread in the Black Tortoise world, without his permission, no one would be able to spread them to the ancient world. And the little boy also said that, as the ruler of the Black Tortoise world, he had the duty and responsibility to nurture the living beings of the Black Tortoise world. In short, the stronger the living beings here, the stronger the Black Tortoise world would be. Then let's do this. Let's find a place and create something like a historical site, and put all the important divine artifacts, such as legendary divine artifacts, peak divine artifacts, and pill recipes inside. Then, like a miracle, it will open every few years. Fire Lotus thought and suggested. Qin Feiyang was slightly surprised, then nodded. "That's a good idea." Fire Lotus smiled slightly. She was just suggesting. As for how to do it, it was up to Qin Feiyang. "I think the location should be in the deepest part of the desert and build a 100-story divine pagoda. Put a treasure in every floor of the divine pagoda. For example, a supreme-grade divine artifact, a perfect divine art, a pill recipe, or a precious medicinal ingredient. And legendary divine artifacts, peak divine artifacts, and potential pills. These pill recipes are all placed above the 50th floor, and inside, set up various difficulties, such as fierce beasts, traps, mechanisms, and so on. The higher you go, the more difficult it will be," Qin Feiyang said. After Fire Lotus heard this, She pondered for a while and smiled. I basically know what to do. Qin Feiyang smiled and said, all right then, I'll go out first. As for the details, you can do as you see fit. And Fire Lotus nodded. Qin Feiyang drank the last mouthful of tea, then got up and left the castle. After changing his appearance, he flew towards Black Rock City. Fire Lotus also got up and flew towards the Desert of Death. But the two of them didn't know that someone had been watching them the whole time. It was that little boy. He stood at the top of the clouds, his small face showing an unusual maturity and gratification. Finally, he's enlightened. It's all thanks to that woman called Fire Lotus. Otherwise, who knows when he would have thought of these things. Do your best. The Black Tortoise world will change because of you. The future Black Tortoise world will definitely become a great world like the ancient world, even surpassing the ancient world. The little boy chuckled and also hid in the sky, disappearing without a trace. Indeed, Qin Feiyang's decision was a great opportunity and fortune for the Black Tortoise world, and at the same time, an earth-shattering reform. Chapter 2388. Haishi City. 2 years ago was a very short time for Xiuzha. Everyone still hadn't forgotten about the city lord being killed. Like the major restaurants, when everyone drank and chatted, they would mention these things. South City Gate. Pedestrians came and went in a hurry. An old man with mottled white hair walked towards the city gate unsteadily with a wooden cane in his hand. He looked like he would fall if the wind blew. The passers-by would avoid the old man when they saw him. It wasn't because the old man was strong, nor was it because the old man had a strong background. It was because the old man had a pungent smell on him, as if he hadn't bathed for decades. Therefore, everyone looked at him with disdain. So smelly. When the old man walked to the city gate, the 4 guards immediately pinched their noses. The disgust on their faces couldn't be concealed. Old man, you're at least a beginner war god. Don't you know how to clean yourself up and be more decent? Go. Don't block the way. 2 years ago, the city lord's mansion had a big change, so the city gates were guarded very strictly. People who entered and left had to be checked by the Heaven's Eye Stone. But at this moment, facing the white-haired old man, the 4 guards didn't have the intention to check him. They only hoped that the old man could leave as soon as possible. The white-haired old man smiled faintly and took a step forward, trembling as he walked towards the city. He didn't care about the smell on his body at all. There are really all kinds of people in this world. He's obviously healthy, but he still stinks. I think there must be something wrong with his brain. The 4 guards shook their heads and continued to check the people who entered and left. What's that smell? So smelly? In the city, at this moment, scolding was everywhere. The crowd on the street looked at the white-haired old man and all avoided him. They were extremely disgusted. But no matter how they scolded him, the white-haired old man still maintained his smile. Old man, I beg you, quickly find a place to wash. To be honest, I really admire your courage. You dare to run out like this. Aren't you afraid of being beaten up? A few young people shook their heads. You can't stand such a small matter? Young people, it's not good to be impatient. The white-haired old man chuckled. You're still taking advantage of me? You're a classic example of not being ashamed, but being proud of it, taking advantage of your seniority. A few young men said angrily, Gentlemen, don't be impulsive. Look at his old arms and legs. If anything happens to him due to fright, he might blame it on you. Someone advised from the side. Hearing this, the young people immediately took a few steps back and looked at the white-haired old man warily. She couldn't be here to scam him, right? It was best to keep a respectful distance from such people. Regarding this, the white-haired old man merely chuckled and became extremely calm. He looked around at the crowd and asked, Excuse me, how do I get to the treasure pavilion? Turn right up ahead, then turn left after 2 blocks. You'll reach the bow pavilion after 3 blocks. Someone said impatiently, Thank you. The white-haired old man nodded his head and expressed his gratitude. Then, he strode towards the treasure pavilion, completely ignoring the disdainful gazes around him. Treasure pavilion. As the only major force in Divine Land apart from the dragons and the dragon-slaying palace, it naturally had its own strengths. Everyone in the treasure pavilion kept a low profile. They never caused trouble outside and never competed with the dragons for resources. Sometimes, they even took the initiative to give it to the dragons. The white-haired old man wandered all the way and finally arrived at the treasure pavilion. He stopped in front of the door. The magnificent building in front of him gave off a great sense of oppression, but it wasn't luxurious. It was even a little plain, but it didn't lose its grandeur. There was an endless stream of people shuttling back and forth. After all, the treasure pavilion was the only public trading place in Divine Land. Naturally, there was a lot of traffic. However, when the white-haired old man appeared in front of the door, everyone couldn't help but stop and look at the white-haired old man strangely. Who was that? This smell was too unbearable. Looking at him, he still wanted to enter the treasure pavilion? There were so many customers in the treasure pavilion. Weren't they here to cause trouble? Old man, are you going to enter the treasure pavilion? At the door, there were two receptionists. One of them walked to the white-haired old man with a suspicious look and asked. Yes. The white-haired old man nodded. Old man, your sweat stinks. Why don't you go wash up first? There's a restaurant next door. The receptionist was very tactful and his attitude was very polite. This meant that the people in the treasure pavilion were indeed good. There seemed to be a trace of satisfaction in the white-haired old man's eyes. Old man, don't blame me because your image will indeed affect the other customers. After all, this is a place to do business. The receptionist said again. All right. The white-haired old man nodded. But just as the white-haired old man turned around, a young man in purple came with a group of guards. Get out of the way, get out of the way. Young Master Wu is here. Two servants ran to the front and shouted arrogantly at the crowd. Everyone's expression changed and hurriedly retreated to the side. Young Master Wu? The white-haired old man looked at the young man in purple and the guards with a trace of doubt in his eyes. Weren't they the guards of the City Lord Mansion? Who was this young Master Wu? Was he also from the City Lord Mansion? What's that smell? The young man in purple walked over and frowned. He scanned the surroundings and soon locked his eyes on the white-haired old man. You, get lost. Don't affect my young master's mood. Seeing this, the two servants immediately walked toward the white-haired old man angrily. The road belongs to everyone. The treasure pavilion doesn't belong to your family. What right do you have to tell me to get lost? The white-haired old man said lightly. Ouch, how dare you talk back? Let me tell you, not to mention this road, now the entire Blackstone City belongs to my young master. The two servants sneered. Old man, you should leave quickly. They can't afford to offend him. The receptionist saw that the situation was not good and secretly transmitted a message. Why can't they? Is there no law in this world? The white-haired old man said. Old man, this should be your first time in Blackstone City. The Wu family is now the law of Blackstone City. Because the head of the Wu family is the current city lord of Blackstone City, the person standing in front of you is the son of the head of the Wu family. Tell me, can you afford to offend him? The receptionist secretly said. The head of the Wu family is the current city lord? The white-haired old man was stunned. The receptionist said, Old man, go quickly, wash up and come back. The white-haired old man thought for a while, looked up at the purple-clothed young man, and turned to leave. Stop. But at this time, the purple-clothed young man spoke. The white-haired old man was stunned and turned to look at the purple-clothed young man. Talking back to this young master, and you want to leave without even an apology? The purple-clothed young man had his hands behind his back, and his eyes looked insufferably arrogant. The white-haired old man laughed hoarsely. What this old man said is the truth. What's wrong? Since there's nothing wrong, why should I apologize? You still dare to talk back to him? This old man, is he tired of living? People muttered. The purple-clothed young man was not scary, because he had the cultivation of a great success war god. However, the forces behind him were terrifying. For example, his father was not only extremely strong, but after becoming the city lord, he had the support of dragons. Who could afford to offend him? Even the treasure pavilion had to be respectful. The purple-clothed young man was also a little stunned. Ever since his father ascended the throne of the city lord, no one dared to offend him like this. Suddenly, he felt that he couldn't keep his face. A trace of hostility flashed in his eyes as he shouted, "Kill him! Young Master Wu, please calm down. After all, this is in front of our treasure pavilion. Please don't kill anyone." The receptionist hurriedly said, "What is the treasure pavilion? If this young master is unhappy, I will directly give the order to flatten your treasure pavilion." The purple-clothed young man had a look of disdain. Flatten the treasure pavilion? The receptionist was stunned, and his face suddenly became angry. Another receptionist also stepped forward and glared at the purple-clothed young man, saying, "Young Master Wu, don't go too far." Too far? The purple-clothed young man was stunned, turned his head to look at the guards beside him, and asked, "They said this young master went too far, did they?" "No, no. Now the entire Black Rock City is yours, young master. You can do whatever you want. Who dares to say no?" The group of guards smiled flatteringly. "Did you hear that? The entire Black Rock City is mine. Who do you think you are?" The purple-clothed young man looked at the two receptionists and smiled proudly. The two of them clenched their hands. Thinking back, before the head of the Wu family became the city lord, this person dared to be so arrogant in the treasure pavilion? Wonderful, wonderful. This old man has finally seen what it means to be a dog relying on its master's power. At this moment, the white-haired old man standing to the side laughed hoarsely. Everyone looked at the white-haired old man. They thought to themselves, how dare he speak up? He didn't even see young Master Wu and was already angry. Wasn't this asking for trouble? As expected, when the purple-clothed young man heard this, a fierce look appeared on his face. He stared at the white-haired old man and said coldly, "How dare you call this young master a dog? You really haven't died before. Immediately cut him into 8 pieces for this young master." The two guards immediately waved their spears and charged towards the white-haired old man. "Tell the truth. Calling you a dog is already praising you. You don't want to be a good person, but you want to be the claws of dragons." The white-haired old man smiled coldly, and a vast aura burst out of his body like a flood. "What? He's not the god of war." Everyone was shocked. The two receptionists also looked at the white-haired old man in surprise. The purple-clothed young man also had a shocked look on his face. The two guards immediately stopped and sized up the white-haired old man. "As long as they are the claws of dragons, I will kill them on sight." The white-haired old man took a step forward, and a strange invisible force surged forward like a tide. The two servants and the group of guards fell to the ground one after another, accompanied by miserable cries. There were no injuries on their bodies. It was as if they had suddenly died of exhaustion. How is this possible? Everyone was dumbfounded. How did this old man do it? Boom. At this moment, the white-haired old man's aura shot straight up to that of a great success divine lord. He's not the god of war. He's a great success divine lord. Everyone could not help but swallow their saliva. In fact, great success divine lords were not considered very strong in Black Rock City. However, the methods that the white-haired old man had displayed were unheard of. To be able to kill all the guards effortlessly without causing any injuries, this method was simply too terrifying. Chapter 2389. Whoosh. While everyone was still in shock, the white-haired old man had already walked up to the purple-clad young man. "What are you doing? How dare you kill me? My father won't let you off. The dragons won't let you off either." The purple-clad young man was terrified. He didn't expect the old man to be so bold. The white-haired old man turned a deaf ear to him. He raised his arm and grabbed the purple-clad young man's neck like an eagle's claw. "Let go of me." The purple-clad young man struggled and roared. He had never been so flustered before. It was as if a grim reaper was holding his neck, making it difficult for him to breathe. Remember, the dragons won't be your protective talisman. Instead, they'll only bring you death. The white-haired old man smiled and clenched his fist. The purple-clad young man's neck was broken on the spot. Flesh and blood splattered everywhere. The head also fell to the ground with a thud. Following that, the white-haired old man stomped his foot again. The head fell to the ground and turned into a pile of meat on the spot. The soul was directly annihilated. He even killed young Master Wu? This is going to be big. The city lord won't let him off. The surrounding crowd was shocked to the extreme. He was so old, but his methods were so tyrannical. He was simply going to poke a hole in the sky. However, the white-haired old man was still indifferent. He nodded and smiled at the surrounding crowd, then turned around and walked into the treasure pavilion with his walking stick. The two receptionists looked at each other. One of them immediately chased after the old man and said, "Old man, you should leave." The people in the treasure pavilion had also seen the scene outside. Therefore, no one dared to despise or mock the white-haired old man anymore. Their faces were filled with fear. This was fear for the strong, but also fear for the white-haired old man's courage. The white-haired old man glanced at the counter and asked the receptionist, "Why do you want to leave?" "You killed young Master Wu. The city lord won't let you off. Although you're very strong, you're still far from the city lord's mansion." The receptionist was burning with anxiety. The white-haired old man chuckled. "You're not worried about me. You're worried that I'll implicate the treasure pavilion." The receptionist's expression froze. Yes, he was worried that the treasure pavilion would be implicated. Once the city lord arrived and saw the old man in the treasure pavilion, he would definitely vent his anger on them. However, this old man clearly had no intention of leaving. "Don't worry. I'll take responsibility for my own actions. I won't implicate your treasure pavilion. I came to the treasure pavilion to see if there are any pill furnaces. The treasure pavilion is a place to do business. We can't possibly drive our customers away." The white-haired old man smiled faintly. The receptionist smiled bitterly and asked, "Then what kind of pill furnace do you need?" The white-haired old man said, "The higher the level, the better. Our Blackrock City's treasure pavilion's best pill furnace is a middle-grade pill furnace, and the cheapest one is 100 billion deity crystals." The receptionist said. The white-haired old man said unhappily, "Are you afraid that I don't have the money to pay?" "I'm not afraid. Yes, we have to make it clear in advance so that the elderly can be mentally prepared," the receptionist said politely. "You're quite a smooth talker. Divine crystals are not a problem, but what this old man wants is a higher-grade pill furnace," the white-haired old man said. Since the old man wants to buy a pill furnace, he must be an alchemist. And as an alchemist, you should know how rare pill furnaces are. Even in our treasure pavilion, it's difficult to find a pill furnace in a year. As for higher-grade pill furnaces, the elderly man might have to go to bigger cities to buy them. The treasure pavilions in cities such as Xintian City and Myriad Cloud City should have high-grade and supreme-grade pill furnaces for sale. The receptionist said, "Xintian City, Myriad Cloud City." The white-haired old man muttered and asked, "Are they far from Blackrock City?"
Yes.
"Relatively speaking, the closest one is Myriad Cloud City," the receptionist said. The white-haired old man pondered for a while and said, "All right then, give me a middle-grade pill furnace first." "Okay, please wait a moment. I'll go get it right away." The receptionist immediately turned and left. He was waiting for this. As long as he could send this old man away quickly, he would give it to him for free. Outside, more and more people began to gather around, and without exception, when they saw the corpses of the purple-clothed young man and the group of guards, they could not help but change their expressions. "What's going on?" A black-clothed young man in his 20s, who looked very ordinary, came out of the crowd and looked at the corpses on the ground with a rather shocked expression. But when he came back to his senses, a trace of excitement crept into his eyes. However, in the excitement, there seemed to be a trace of anger. "Big brother, how did he die?" The black-clothed young man turned to look at a middle-aged man next to him and asked. "He was killed by an old man." The middle-aged man said casually, "Old man?" A trace of suspicion flashed in the black-clothed young man's eyes as he looked at the guards again. Wait a minute. This was not right. Why were there no wounds on their bodies? Their divine senses were erased. It's really terrifying. They were all wearing high-grade armor, but this old man could actually ignore their defense and directly erase their divine souls. I wonder how he did it, the middle-aged man exclaimed. Ignore defense and erase their divine souls. Hearing this, the black-clothed young man's eyes suddenly trembled as he asked, Big brother, where is that old man? He entered the treasure pavilion. What do you want to do? Let me tell you, this person even dared to kill young Master Wu, so he must have a background. Don't provoke him. The middle-aged man warned the black-clothed young man out of kindness. But the black-clothed young man did not listen at all and directly rushed into the treasure pavilion. Very soon, he found the white-haired old man. Although he had not seen the white-haired old man before, many people in the treasure pavilion were looking at the white-haired old man and whispering, so it was easy to distinguish him. The black-clothed young man did not rush over. He stood behind the crowd and sized up the white-haired old man with eyes full of surprise. As for the white-haired old man, he did not seem to notice the gazes and discussions around him at all as he looked at the things sold at the counter. Not long after, the receptionist hurried back and handed a chinkuan bag to the white-haired old man. The white-haired old man's divine sense sank into it. Inside the chinkuan bag, there was a pill furnace that was overflowing with treasure light. The white-haired old man then took out a chinkuan bag and handed it to the receptionist. It was naturally filled with divine crystals. The receptionist did not even count and looked at the white-haired old man with a smile. Old man, can we leave now? The dignified treasure pavilion only has this bit of courage. How disappointing. The white-haired old man shook his head, put away the pill furnace, and turned to leave with his walking stick. Although the treasure pavilion treated people well, their fear of the dragons disappointed him greatly. Hearing this, the receptionist could not help but look a little displeased. You are alone. Of course you are not afraid of the dragons. But there are so many people in the treasure pavilion. If you want to survive in China, you have to bow to the dragons. There was no choice. After the white-haired old man walked out of the treasure pavilion, the black-clothed young man followed. He didn't leave Black Rock City immediately. Is he not afraid that the city lord will bring people to look for him? Is he really fearless, or is he pretending to be calm? Looking at the white-haired old man wandering on the street, everyone's eyes were full of suspicion. Not long after, the white-haired old man entered an alley. The alley was full of twists and turns. After the white-haired old man turned a corner, the black-clothed young man also quickly rushed into the alley. At this moment, the white-haired old man walked out from behind the corner. The two immediately stood face to face. The black-clothed young man's face suddenly showed a trace of panic. The white-haired old man asked, Why did you follow me? I didn't. I just happened to be passing by this alley. The black-clothed young man shook his head in panic. You have been following me since you came out of the treasure pavilion. Don't tell me that you just happened to be passing by these roads. The white-haired old man said, The black-clothed young man became more and more flustered. Speak. The white-haired old man slammed the walking stick in his hand, and a great pressure rushed towards the black-clothed young man. Senior, please calm down. I followed you because I have something to ask. The black-clothed young man hurriedly said, What is it? The white-haired old man withdrew his pressure and said, The black-clothed young man said, Do you know a person called Gao Shaosan? Gao Shaosan? The white-haired old man was stunned and asked suspiciously, Who are you, and why are you asking about him? The black-clothed young man looked excited and said, Senior, you know Gao Shaosan? Yes. He is my disciple. The white-haired old man nodded. So the two of you are master and disciple. No wonder you both know how to ignore the opponent's defense and kill the soul directly. The black-clothed young man came to a realization. The white-haired old man said, You haven't answered my question. The black-clothed young man bowed and said, Senior, I am from Cloud Mountain Village. My name is Li Feng. I met Brother Gao 2 years ago. Li Feng? The white-haired old man was stunned and looked at the black-clothed young man. The black-clothed young man took a face-restoring pill and his appearance changed drastically. Who else could it be but Li Feng? The white-haired old man asked curiously, I know a thing or two about Cloud Mountain Village. Why did you come all the way here? Li Feng's eyes turned red. He clenched his fists and said, I want to ask Brother Gao to avenge the villagers. Avenge? The white-haired old man frowned and said, Avenge who? All the villagers. And Uncle Yuntai, Li Feng lowered his head, his eyes filled with tears. What happened? When Gao Shaosen left, didn't he already help you solve all your problems? The white-haired old man raised his eyebrows. At that time, Brother Gao did help us solve all our problems. We also thought that we would be able to live a peaceful life from now on. But the weather is unpredictable. At the end of the year when Brother Gao left, the people from the city lord's mansion came and killed everyone in our village. They even took Xiaohe away. Li Feng said with grief and indignation. What? The white-haired old man's body trembled. I would have died at that time, but Uncle Yuntai used the villagers' corpses to bury me and let me crash to death. That was how I escaped. Li Feng wiped his tears as he said that. His face was filled with hatred. You're tuning in to the Warrior Lore YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.